Chapter 2276. Heh heh, Du Xiaofu chuckled awkwardly. He couldn't help but take a few steps back in case this tomboy suddenly attacked again. Let's leave this place as soon as possible. We've heard some news over the past 3 days, Ouyang Shuang said to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's expression turned serious at the mention of serious business. Du Xiaofu learned some things from Ouyang Shuang and Du Xiaoqing. This monster territory had been very lively over the past few days. Many beast clans were looking for him. Du Xiaofu was not surprised by this. He had expected that the roe deer owl and the other beast clans would not take things lying down since even a holy beast realm cultivator had come. The rest of the information was about the Beast Alliance meeting. Du Xiaofu was rather interested. However, Little Tiger, Du Xiaoqing, and the others had not found out much about the Beast Alliance meeting over the past 3 days. After all, Little Qing and the others had not dared to show their faces too much over the past few days in case any accidents happened. Other than the information he had learned from the skinny young man from the gold-devouring rat clan, what Du Xiaofu had learned was the location of the Beast Alliance meeting. It was in the Beast King mountain range. What surprised Du Xiaofu was that the Baifeng Divine Bird clan he was looking for was in the Beast King mountain range. The organizer of the Beast Alliance meeting was also the Baifeng Divine Bird clan. Let's go to the Beast King mountain range. Du Xiaofu said. If he could go to the Baifeng Divine Bird clan, he might be able to find out about Little Qing's background. Brother, going to the Beast Alliance meeting will attract too much attention. Many people are looking for trouble with you. You'll be discovered easily. Du Xiaoqing was worried. Although she really wanted to know about her background, she also knew about her brother's situation. He was being hunted down by the various clans in the Beast Alliance. She didn't want to put her brother in danger because of her. It won't be a big deal. Du Xiaofu smiled. With the disguise technique, it wouldn't be too big of a problem. As long as he didn't reveal his abilities, he wouldn't be exposed. Or I can go to the Beast King mountain range myself. Du Xiaoqing said. She vaguely felt that she might have an absolute relationship with the Baifeng Divine Bird in this ominous ground, and could find out about her origin. Du Xiaofu shook his head. With Du Xiaoqing's cultivation and strength, even though this was the Beast Alliance's territory and she had a high status in the Baifeng Divine Bird clan, it was still not enough for her to protect herself. Du Xiaofu thought for a moment, then smiled and said to Du Xiaoqing and the others, perhaps we should pay more attention. I have an idea that will make it less likely for our identities to be exposed. After that, Du Xiaofu informed everyone that this was the Beast Alliance's territory. Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, and Qingluan Xiaoqing would be the leaders while he, Ouyang Shuang, and Dai Xingyu would be the battle servants of Little Green, Little Tiger, and Qingluan Xiaoqing. This way, they wouldn't attract too much attention walking together and wouldn't be easily exposed. I don't think that's a good idea. Little Tiger was stunned, but he didn't dare to. Let's do it this way. Don't let others see through us. Du Xiaofu had already decided that they could try this method. They should be able to sneak into the Beast King mountain range. Dai Xingyu and Ouyang Shuang nodded. They also felt that this method should work and would be safer. After that, the few of them moved and headed towards the Beast King mountain range. Along the way, the heaven and earth energy became denser and denser. Everywhere was filled with an ancient aura. Along the way, the number of figures gradually increased. They were all demonic beast experts with many battle servants. Among the demonic beasts from various clans, there were many young people with extraordinary temperaments and powerful auras. They were all heading towards the Beast King mountain range. Du Xiaofu and the others flew across the sky. Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, and Qingluan Xiaoqing walked in front. Du Xiaofu, Ouyang Shuang, and Dai Xingyu followed behind. Along the way, they encountered many demonic beast clans. However, they felt that Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, and the others' auras were not to be trifled with, so they didn't encounter any trouble. However, there were also young demonic beast kings who came over to strike up a conversation. The group was very strong, and they were all attracted by Du Shaoqing and Qinghuan. In order to not cause trouble, Du Shaoqing released a bit of the Baifeng divine bird's aura in the end. It shocked the young demonic beast king so much that his expression changed greatly. He hurriedly apologized and didn't dare to take another look. Looks like the Baifeng divine bird has an extremely high status here. Looking at the young demonic beast king's attitude and expression, Du Xiaofu said. My Baifeng divine bird clan naturally has an extremely high status. As a member of the Baifeng divine bird clan, Du Shaoqing was naturally very proud. Still have to be careful. Don't expose your identity. Ouyang Shuang reminded Du Xiaofu. She was really afraid that this guy would attack the young demonic beast king who struck up a conversation. Once this guy attacked, she was afraid that she wouldn't be far from exposing her identity. Don't worry. It's not a big problem. Du Xiaofu smiled slightly. As long as no sacred beast realm cultivator noticed and suspected him, he wouldn't expose his identity. Even if a sacred beast realm cultivator purposely spied on him, they wouldn't discover anything. After all, he didn't show up much here. Anyway, you have to be careful. This is the Beast Alliance's territory. Ouyang Shuang glared at Du Xiaofu. Her red lips were bright, and her pearly white teeth were glowing. She knew that Du Xiaofu had always been in trouble. He could get into trouble wherever he went. Don't worry. I never get into trouble. Du Xiaofu said seriously. Hearing that, the surroundings suddenly became silent. Du Shaoqing, Dai Xingyu, Little Tiger, and the others all stopped and looked at Du Xiaofu with suspicion. Why? Am I a troublemaker? Du Xiaofu was a little unconvinced. What do you think? Let's hurry up. I wonder how everyone is doing. Ouyang Shuang said. Her big eyes were bright. She was a little worried about everyone who came in from the desolate country. Then, her beautiful body flew out in the air and continued on her journey. I hope everyone is fine. Du Xiaofu also became serious. The ancient desolate fearsome grounds were full of danger. He hoped that his drunkard father, Shao Jing, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, and the others would be fine. An ancient city appeared in front of them. It was as vast as a giant dragon. Under the reflection of the sunset, the ancient city was modeled and ancient. However, it was incomparably majestic. It stood majestically and was much more majestic than a giant mountain. It exuded an unusually ancient aura. Du Xiaofu waited until they arrived. There were more and more people entering the ancient city. From the discussions around them, Du Xiaofu found out that this was just one of the ancient cities in the Beast Alliance's territory. There were many other ancient cities like this in the Beast Alliance's territory. This ancient city was not far from the Beast King mountain range. It could be considered a comfortable place to stay. The ancient city was majestic. The city walls were modeled and there were no traces of talisman arrays. However, it was very sturdy. The huge city gate was terrifyingly huge. It was probably a few 100 feet tall. There were a few huge guards from the Beast clan by the side. They were all from the Wolf clan. Their auras were extraordinary and they were glaring at them fiercely. Du Xiaofu and the others entered the city carefully. The city was much more lively than they had imagined. The bustling figures were all in human form. However, although some of the Beast clan were in human form, they had abnormal signs. There were many with horns on their heads and many with bumps on their foreheads. Their auras were very strong and there were even some with 4 eyes. Behind these monster kings, there were many battle servants. Among them, there were quite a number of battle servants who were not ordinary. Some extraordinary humans had been subdued and became battle servants. This was very common in the Beast Alliance's territory. There were also ordinary shops in the city that sold many cultivation resources. There were even places where one could buy battle servants. However, they were trading for cultivation resources. In the world of cultivators, the most precious things that could be traded at any time were naturally cultivation resources. Bang, 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 there were muffled sounds in the distance. It seemed like there were people fighting and it attracted many people. Du Xiaofu was also curious. He went closer and wondered who was fighting in the city. It seemed like this ancient city had an owner. Not everyone had the capital to cause trouble. However, the result surprised Du Xiaofu. There were battle servants fighting in the square that was covered with seals. There were also beast clan living beings cheering at the side. The atmosphere was boiling and there was a hubbub of voices. After observing for a while, Du Xiaofu roughly understood the situation. It seemed like there were beast clan people gambling with battle servants. A moment later, one of the battle servants was heavily injured and one of them won. There was a young beast king cheering on the winner's side with a face full of smiles. "Useless thing, what's the point of keeping you?" The beast king of the loser's side was furious. His expression was very ugly. He directly attacked and turned the battle servant into a bloody mist. No one in the surroundings felt that something was wrong. It seemed to be very common. In this place, battle servants were only products of the beast clan. Perhaps only those powerful and talented battle servants would be valued to a certain extent. So cruel, this is too much. Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu were not used to it. They were very unhappy to see a human being killed like this. This was too much. Who's talking nonsense? Come out. The Beast King who had just killed his battle servant was a tall and skinny young man who looked to be in his 30s. When he heard Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu's words, he immediately turned around and locked his gaze on the two women. His battle servant had just been defeated and he was in a bad mood. "What, do you want to fight?" Ouyang Shuang's temper was not good. Moreover, she was the disciple of Crazy Ol. Her master was the great North Addict. How could she endure being scolded by a beast king? When he saw Ouyang Shuang, the tall and thin young man was secretly stunned. Then, when his gaze swept over Dai Xingyu, Qing Luan, and Du Xiaoqing, his eyes trembled. The crowd in the surroundings also became restless. Some people stepped back and revealed a gap. Many gazes swept over. "These are your battle servants?" The young man's expression was originally gloomy, but after seeing Du Xiaoqing and Qing Luan, his expression immediately became much calmer. He took a few steps forward and asked Du Xiaoqing and Qing Luan. "Scram." However, Du Xiaoqing's response was like this. She directly berated him. Hearing this, many people's expressions changed. That young man's background was not simple. They did not know which clan this woman was from, but she actually dared to berate him like this. She did not put him in her eyes at all. The tall and thin young man's face also froze. His body that had just taken a few steps forward also froze. The corners of his eyes twitched, and a cold intent surged out. He faintly sneered as he stared at Du Xiaoqing and said, "I'm Yan Ming from the Blazing Flame Ancient Jiao. May I know which clan you are from?" Chapter 2277. The Blazing Ancient Drake was not comparable to the Ro Owl clan, but it was not far off from the Goldbiter Rat clan. Yan Ming announced his name, wanting to know the other party's background. How could Yan Ming swallow this insult after being reprimanded and humiliated like this? "Didn't you hear me clearly?" "Scram!" Du Xiaoqing said. She did not care about the Blazing Ancient Drake at all. Moreover, although this fellow's aura was not weak, it was just as so. Where did she come from? How dare she not care about Yan Ming? The surrounding crowd was shocked. Where did this woman come from? She did not even care about the Blazing Ancient Drake. Ha 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 ha, Yan Ming laughed. He raised his head and laughed. His voice shook the void, causing more and more figures to approach. When the laughter stopped, Yan Ming stared at Du Shaoqing and said in a cold voice, according to the rules of the Beast Alliance, each of us will choose a battle servant. If your battle servant wins, I will marry you. If you win, you can do whatever you want with me. Otherwise, if you kowtow and admit your mistake, I will pretend that you did not say anything. Looks like Yan Ming is angry. He actually gambled so much. Yan Ming clearly took a fancy to that woman. That's his true motive. This is the rule of the Beast Alliance. No matter who the opponent is, they have to accept the challenge. Otherwise, they have to agree to the other party's request. The surrounding crowd was in an uproar. This was the rule of the Beast Alliance. It was also the rule of the Beast Clan for countless years. Solve everything with strength. You're not qualified. Little Tiger's pitch-black eyes sharpened. Its violent aura fluctuated and it was about to attack. Little Green was also panting with anger. Its eyes began to surge with a green-red color. Du Xiaofu transmitted his voice and stopped Little Tiger and Little Green in time. Listening to the whispers around, it seemed that this was the rule of the Beast Alliance. There were many experts of the Beast Clan here and it might cause unnecessary trouble if the matter was blown out of proportion. Let me do it. Du Xiaofu walked out. He had a rough and muscular body. He walked directly to the square in front of him, which was enchanted with restrictions. Du Shaoqing and Little Tiger gritted their teeth and glared at Yan Ming. Okay. Yan Ming sneered and said, good. He sized up Du Xiaofu's body and didn't feel any particularly strong aura. He turned around and looked at the few battle servants behind him who were already eager to give it a try and wanted to perform well. He wanted to pick one of them to fight. Those battle servants had long since secretly spied on Du Xiaofu's aura. It seemed that there was nothing to be afraid of. This was the perfect opportunity to perform. As long as they won, they would definitely be able to obtain a lot of rewards. Your battle servant is no match for me. Come at me yourself. On the square, Du Xiaofu stretched out his hand and pointed at Yan Ming. This battle servant actually wants to challenge Yan Ming. Is he tired of living? The surroundings became silent for an instant. Soon after, the gazes of the surrounding spectators were filled with astonishment. That battle servant was actually so arrogant. He directly pointed at Yan Ming and wanted to challenge Yan Ming. Wasn't that just courting death? No matter how strong a battle servant was, how could he be stronger than Yan Ming? Moreover, from the aura that the battle servant emitted, he didn't seem to be an expert at all. Interesting. It's going to be lively now. Seeing that Yan Ming was actually pointed at by a battle servant and not placed in his eyes, the young monster king who had won the bet with Yan Ming and many other monster kings in the surroundings revealed a smile that wasn't a smile. They were happy to watch the show. In the beginning, the lady didn't place him in her eyes. At this moment, even her battle servant didn't place him in his eyes. One could imagine Yan Ming's mood. His face twitched and the gaze in his eyes became increasingly gloomy. His gloomy voice trembled as he said, "Insignificant battle servant, do you think you have the qualifications to challenge me? In a while, my battle servant will destroy your body and soul. You are not worthy of being challenged by me. One move is sufficient to deal with you. Why must you send your battle servant to his death?" Du Xiaofu continued to point at Yan Ming. His appearance was filled with confidence. His eyes contained some arrogance. Clearly, he did not place Yan Ming in his eyes. How arrogant! This is definitely the most arrogant battle servant that I have ever seen. The surrounding demonic beasts softly spoke. At this moment, there were an increasing number of people surrounding them. There were so many people that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Such a lively scene was really rarely seen. Ha 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 ha. Yan Ming laughed out of extreme anger. A small battle servant actually dared to humiliate him and not place him in his eyes. If he still did not attack, it was likely that he would no longer have the face to walk out in the future. He would also no longer have the face to participate in the Beast Alliance Grand Meeting. Battle Servant, I will make an exception today and give you this qualification. Now, you can tell me your last words. Yan Ming strode onto the open ground. His eyes, which appeared as though they were about to spit fire, had calmed down a little at this moment. However, that invisible dark and cold expression was still rising. A battle servant had completely infuriated him. He wanted to personally attack. This time around, that battle servant is dead for sure. Some people laughed when they saw Yan Ming walk forward. That battle servant had overestimated himself. It was likely that Yan Ming would not easily let him off after humiliating Yan Ming in such a manner. Pa, a clear sound was suddenly emitted from the arena. It was exceptionally clear and pleasing to the ear. Accompanied by a grug sound, many pairs of eyes saw that Yan Ming, who had just stepped onto the arena, spat out a mouthful of fresh blood along with his teeth. His body suddenly flew backwards and landed a couple of 100 feet away. Deathly silence. The laughter and discussions from earlier had suddenly become completely silent. Everyone's eyes were stunned. Before they could clearly see what had happened, they only saw Yan Ming directly spit out blood and fly backwards. Yan Ming lay a couple of 100 feet away. Fresh blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. Some of the broken teeth that he had spat out were scattered to the side. A 5-finger palm print was clearly visible on his face. Half of his face was already swollen. Both of his eyes were filled with shock, dullness and a complicated expression. The companions and battle servants behind Yan Ming were even more dumbstruck. Roar! The arena was trembling. Yan Ming's body was expanding. In an instant, he had transformed into his original form. His body was like a dog, and his body was covered with leopard symbols. He had horns like a cow, and his voice was like a barking dog. However, his voice was like a large bell, causing the void to rumble. This was the original form of Yan Ming's blazing fire ancient drake. Its body was not big, but it emitted a bright radiance. Its aura was extremely powerful. Boom! At this moment, Yan Ming's beast region level aura swept out without holding back. Its momentum was vast and mighty, and it shook the entire place. Yan Ming was very powerful. He was not a sovereign, but he had the bearing of a genius. Roar! Yan Ming was furious. His small mountain-like body was already in front of Du Xiaofu. As he roared furiously, he extended his meteorite-like claw and directly slammed it towards Du Xiaofu. His aura was vast and frightening. Mysterious symbols erupted, accompanied by the blazing fire ancient drake's illusory figure that appeared as though it was about to rush out. This was the blazing fire ancient drake's ultimate move. Yan Ming was completely furious. This humiliation could only be avenged by killing that battle servant. Otherwise, he would become the disgrace of the entire blazing fire ancient drake's tribe, and even the entire beast alliance. Du Xiaofu formed a seal with his hands. Light shot out from his eyes, and mysterious symbols flickered. In an instant, the blazing fire ancient drake's attack came to a halt. Its fierce eyes were in a daze. At the same time, Du Xiaofu stomped his foot on the ground and directly leaped up. He shook his arm, and his 5 fingers clenched into a fist. His seemingly small fist collided with the meteorite-like claw. However, a thunderous sound erupted, and runes erupted, and a strong wind swept out. Yan Ming's original blazing fire ancient drake's hideous body spurted out a large mouthful of blood. His body was directly sent flying, and he landed heavily on the square. The ground shook, and the mountains shook. The surroundings were deathly silent once more. Numerous gazes were flabbergasted, and they were astounded by this scene. Gulp gulp, then, the sound of saliva being swallowed could be heard. Many pairs of eyes landed on Du Xiaofu in shock. This battle servant was actually so powerful. The young monster kings were even more shocked. Not many of them felt that they were stronger than Yan Ming. However, Yan Ming was not a match for the battle servant. It could be seen how terrifying the battle servant was. Primordial Spirit Attack. Spiritual Symbol Master. That battle servant is also a spiritual symbol master. Yan Ming's primordial spirit was attacked. That battle servant is a dual cultivator. Someone spoke. His voice was not loud, but it was loud enough for everyone present to hear. Many pairs of eyes were even more shocked. A spiritual symbol master battle servant was much more valuable than a battle servant of the same level. A dual cultivator was even rarer. Such a powerful battle servant caused everyone's eyes to land on Du Shaoqing and the others. Which tribe did he belong to? He actually had such a powerful battle servant. His background was definitely not simple. No wonder he did not take Yan Ming seriously from the beginning. Yan Ming continuously vomited blood and returned to his human form. He was supported by a few battle servants and people from his tribe. However, his gaze was still somewhat lifeless and filled with shock. At this moment, only Yan Ming himself knew that his beast soul was not affected. Instead, it was heavily injured. Not to mention that he did not have the strength to attack now, it would be impossible for him to advance in the future. Even his current cultivation could not be maintained. At this moment, Yan Ming finally understood that he had provoked someone he should not have provoked. A battle servant was enough to cripple him. The other party must have a great background. You really want me to attack a second time? Du Xiaofu's expression darkened. Yan Ming had provoked Ouyang Xuan. Dai Xingyu and Du Shaoqing naturally did not hold back. It looked like they had defeated him, but in reality, they had heavily injured his beast soul. If they were not afraid of exposing their identities and attracting too much attention, they would have directly crushed him to death. A dual cultivator battle servant. His strength is not bad. Such a voice sounded. The voice was calm and slowly landed in everyone's ears. At this moment, Du Xiaofu also slightly raised his eyes and looked forward. The crowd was in an uproar. The two sides automatically parted to form a path. A group of people walked over unhurriedly. At the front was a young man. He had a slender body and a handsome face. Especially his pair of deep brown eyes that emitted an enchanting luster. Behind the young man, there were a few young men and women with extraordinary auras. Any one of them was probably stronger than Yan Ming. Behind these people, there were no less than 30 battle servants. All of them had extraordinary auras. Chapter 2278. Greetings, Lord Qin Long. When the handsome young man walked over, all the spectators lowered their heads and bowed. The young demonic beast kings and the experts behind them were also very respectful. Except for Du Shaoqing, Ouyang Xuan and the others. Du Xiaofu looked at the handsome young man walking over and was a little surprised. This person was very powerful. Although he had restrained his aura, he was definitely much more powerful than Du Xiaofu. His cultivation was indestructible and his identity as a Nirvana stage sovereign could not escape the prying eyes of Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. Everyone lowered their heads and their eyes were filled with respect and fear. Many ladies looked at the handsome young man and their hearts fluttered and their eyes glowed. The handsome young man walked over slowly and his eyes fell on Du Xiaofu. Lord Qin Long, this battle servant is so ruthless. Please seek justice for me on account of the flaming fire ancient sly tribe. Yan Ming appeared as though he had seen his savior when he saw Qin Long. He immediately staggered over. Joy surged onto his dull and shocked face. However, there was also some regret. His beast spirit Yuan spirit had suffered a serious injury and it was already irreversible. Greetings, Lord Qin Long. The people following Yan Ming were pleasantly surprised and they immediately stepped forward to greet him. How do you want me to seek justice for you? Qin Long looked at Yan Ming and said calmly. The Flaming Fire Ancient Sly Tribe and Lord Qin Long have good relations. Lord Qin Long will seek justice for Yan Ming. The Flaming Fire Ancient Sly Tribe has always followed Lord Qin Long. Since Yan Ming has suffered such a great loss, Lord Qin Long will definitely seek justice for him. The people around said softly. The Flaming Fire Ancient Sly Tribe had always followed Dragon Qin Long and they followed his lead. Now that Yan Ming had suffered such a great loss, Lord Qin Long would naturally seek justice for him. Lord Qin Long, I want the battle servant to die. I want that woman. Qin Long was overjoyed and he looked at Du Shaoqing. His serious injury was related to that woman. She had to pay the price and take responsibility for it. The battle servant also had to die. You are courting death. When Du Shaoqing saw that Yan Ming was actually trying to scheme against her, her expression immediately turned gloomy as a cold light gushed out from her eyes. Qin Long stared at Yan Ming for a while before a slight smile appeared on his face. Subsequently, he lifted his head and looked at Du Xiaofu. He said, "You have heard it. Now, I will give you two choices. First, you will die. Second, you will become my battle servant. I will do my best to help you in your cultivation. With your talent, it is not impossible for you to step into the Xing state one day." What? When Qin Long finished speaking, the surrounding people's gazes became complicated and flickering. No one would have thought that Lord Qin Long actually wanted that battle servant. He even offered the greatest condition, which was to fully assist the battle servant in his cultivation. This battle servant is not simple. Lord Qin Long has taken a liking to him and wants to take him under his banner. Even Yan Ming was not a match for him. Such a battle servant was too strong. It was not strange for Lord Qin Long to take a fancy to him. Although a battle servant did not have much status in the Beast Alliance, such a battle servant was enough to cause a fight between various parties. However, at this moment, Yan Ming and the others' faces were green and red. Lord Qin Long had taken a fancy to the battle servant. Once the battle servant followed Lord Qin Long, the entire Flaming Fire Ancient Jiao would not be able to take revenge in the future. Just like what Qin Long had said, if the battle servant really stepped into the Xing state one day with his full help, he would no longer be a battle servant. Instead, he would have absolute weight and status in the tribe behind Qin Long. The entire Flaming Fire Ancient Jiao could not be compared to him. I already have a master. In the field, Du Xiaofu said. Qin Long was not simple and there was probably a holy beast realm expert behind him. Hence, he did not want to cause any more trouble at this moment. It's all right. As long as you agree, I will exchange you for him. Qin Long spoke as if everything was a matter of course. He turned his head and looked at Du Shaoqing and the others. Unknowingly, there was some doubt in his eyes. However, it disappeared in a flash and no one could see through it. He said, "State your conditions." "I want this battle servant. I am not exchanging this battle servant." Du Shaoqing stared at Qin Long. If it was not for Du Xiaofu telling her not to cause any trouble, she would have already taken action. Qin Long seemed to be extraordinary because he had been with little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaojing all day. However, Du Xiaoqing did not take him seriously. Whether it was little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao or Du Xiaojing, they could trample on this arrogant guy with a single finger. This woman should have a great background. However, Lord Qin Long has already left. No matter how great her background is, she will not be as great as Lord Qin Long. A faint voice was heard. It was Qin Long. In the entire Beast Alliance, there were not many people who could go against his will. "While I am still willing to exchange with you, state your conditions." Qin Long looked at Du Shaoqing and smiled. He said, "If I am not interested in exchanging later, it will be troublesome. Don't you understand? I am not exchanging my battle servant. Don't provoke me again. Go back to where you came from." Du Shaoqing said. She had always been hot-tempered and had seen many saints. Qin Long was nothing to her. If little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao were here, they would have beaten him black and blue. However, everyone present faced each other after Du Xiaoqing's words sounded. Many of their eyes were stunned and shocked. It was fine if she did not place Yan Ming in her eyes. However, she actually did not place Lord Qin Long in her eyes. Just what was her background? How dare you? A loud roar was heard. Behind Qin Long, someone looked gloomy and cold light surged. Do you want to die? Little Tiger stepped out. His dark eyes were shining and his roar was like thunder. It shook the void and made everyone's eardrums explode. Tell me, which clan are you from? Qin Long looked at Little Tiger and Du Xiaoqing and his eyes changed. However, his expression did not change. Since the other party had such a battle servant, they should have a strong background. Qin Long was arrogant, but he was not an arrogant person. Otherwise, he would not have been able to achieve nirvana and have his current cultivation strength. You can't afford to offend him. Du Xiaoqing said and suppressed the anger in her heart. She did not want to cause trouble for her brother and expose his identity. As Du Xiaoqing spoke, a green and red flame suddenly surged out from her eyes. A terrifying pressure suddenly descended from the void. It was accompanied by a blazing aura that evaporated the air in the surrounding space into white smoke. Baifeng Divine Bird. She is from the Baifeng Divine Bird clan. Yes. When such an aura descended, everyone's eyes trembled. At that moment, under the invisible pressure, all the beast souls could not help but tremble. Those who were weaker were suppressed to the point that they had to crawl on the ground. That was the aura of a sovereign. Baifeng Divine Bird. When such an aura descended, Yan Ming's face turned pale. He knew that he did not have the right to take revenge in this lifetime. Du Xiaoqing did not hide the aura of the Baifeng Divine Bird clan and released it. The invisible heat made one's primordial spirit shiver and the beast souls feel scorching pain as if they were going to wither. At that moment, the surrounding beasts looked at Du Xiaoqing differently. They started to look at her with respect and fear. Qin Long's calm eyes finally wavered. He could not help but pay attention to the Baifeng Divine Bird. So you are from the Baifeng Divine Bird clan. No wonder you are so arrogant. Could it be that I really can't afford to offend the Baifeng Divine Bird clan? Qin Long said and he was surprised. However, he was still relaxed. He looked at Du Xiaoqing calmly and said, I never take back my words. It's even better that you are from the Baifeng Divine Bird clan. You and I can settle it ourselves. If you win, Yan Ming will be yours. I will not interfere. If I win, the battle servant will be mine. Qin Long wants to take action. This is going to be interesting. The Baifeng Divine Bird clan is the #1 clan in the Beast Alliance. However, Qin Long is not afraid. This Beast Alliance meeting is meant to be a confrontation. Yan Ming is really unlucky to have offended the Baifeng Divine Bird clan. He is definitely going to suffer this time. Such voices were whispered. Facing Qin Long and the Baifeng Divine Bird clan, the surrounding people no longer sided with them. They all subconsciously stepped back to avoid being implicated. Both sides were existences that they could not afford to offend. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. He did not expect Qin Long to be unwilling to give up. Naturally, he was not afraid of Qin Long. However, Du Xiaofu knew that if he defeated Qin Long, it would attract a lot of attention. It would be detrimental to his hidden identity. Chapter 2279. As for Du Xiaoqing and the others, they were no match for Qin Long. Du Xiaoqing was also helpless. She did not take Qin Long seriously, but she knew that if they really fought, she would not be able to win. If her brother fought, his identity might be exposed. Qin Long, with your cultivation base, if you want to fight, you should at least fight against Brother Jiao Xian and Brother Qi Yan. Why do you want to fight against our Baifeng clan members? Are you afraid of Brother Jiao Xian and Brother Qi Yan? At the end of the street, such a voice came from afar. By the time the last word was said, the voice had already reached the crowd. The crowd surged, their expressions changing as they automatically made way. Outside the crowd, a dozen figures walked over. At the front was a woman who looked to be in her mid-20s. She wore a dark red robe wrapped around her body. As she walked, the beautiful lines of her neck and clearly visible collarbone were revealed. The folds of her fiery red robe were like flames. Light flowed gently on the ground, adding to her gentleness and nobility. This woman's hair was greenish-red and was tied up with a hair band. Her waist was slender, and a faint smile bloomed on her face. Her skin was fair and smooth, and she was incomparably moving. Her aura was noble. Beside the woman was a handsome young man and a delicate young girl. They looked about the same size as Qing Luan and Xiao Qing. Behind the three of them were several followers who looked like battle servants. Bai Ruyan of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. Greetings, my lord. The crowd was in an uproar. Some men were infatuated, some women were secretly jealous, but more were envious. That was Bai Ruyan of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. Although she did not enter the top 10 of the younger generation of the Beast Alliance, she was only second to them. With the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan behind her, her status was even more extraordinary. Among the younger generation of the Beast Alliance, Bai Ruyan was also very famous. Who knew how many young beast kings pursued her? Unfortunately, the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan did not marry outsiders. When this group of people arrived, Du Xiaoqing stared at Bai Ruyan and the other two in the lead. Her delicate body couldn't help but tremble. She could feel her blood surging in her veins, her heart and soul trembling for no reason. This was a marvelous feeling, the feeling of being connected by blood. At this moment, Du Xiaoqing could clearly feel that the three people in front of her were her clansmen, her family. That kind of invisible tug and feeling couldn't be wrong. Bai Ruyan, the delicate and pretty girl, and the handsome young man were also secretly sizing up Du Xiaoqing, and there were fluctuations in their eyes. After the pretty girl and the handsome young man were shocked, they secretly looked at Bai Ruyan. They seemed to be very shocked, but they didn't show it on their faces. Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. That formless aura could not escape the prying eyes of his primordial spirit. It was the aura of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan, which was exactly the same as Little Qing's. Someone from the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan had come. Bai Ruyan. Looking at Bai Ruyan who was walking over, Qing Long's expression finally changed a little. Qing Long, I know that I can't defeat you, but you can't touch the people from my Baifeng clan today. Bai Ruyan shifted her gaze away from Du Xiaoqing and looked at Qing Long. I never take back what I've said. Qing Long stared at Bai Ruyan and said. The Beast Alliance meeting is around the corner. If you want to fight, you can look for Brother Xia and Brother Qi Yan. Bai Ruyan paused for a moment. Her voice was crisp and pleasant. She glanced at Du Xiaofu and continued to say to Qing Long, if you can win the Beast Alliance meeting, the battle servant will be yours. Qing Long's eyes darkened. After a few breaths, a smile appeared on his handsome face. He said, all right, I'll wait for the Beast Alliance meeting. With that, Qing Long turned around and left. Yan Ming's face was ashen. When he saw that Qing Long had left, he didn't dare to stay any longer and immediately followed. Wait. You lost. According to the rules, you have to pay the price. Du Xiaoqing called out to Yan Ming. She said, hand over all your universe bags. Yan Ming was stunned. He could not help but stare blankly at Qing Long. Qing Long did not turn around and left directly. Bai Ruyan, the delicate young girl, and the handsome young man all looked at Du Xiaoqing in astonishment. Some of their gazes flickered. They felt that there was something wrong with her temperament. This did not seem to be the temperament that the Bai Fong clan should have. However, they could not put their finger on it. There shouldn't be anyone who dares to renege on a debt with my Bai Fong clan. Bai Ruyan spoke in a pleasant voice. Yan Ming's face twitched violently. Indeed, how could he dare to renege on a debt with the Bai Fong Divine Bird clan? He took out several universe bags and tossed them to Du Shaoqing while enduring the pain. Only Yan Ming himself knew how much pain he felt. It was like a knife was cutting his heart. His Qinquan bag contained the cultivation resources that he had originally collected in order to break through to the next cultivation level, as well as the treasures that the clan had spent a lot of effort to find. Once the best time arrived, breaking through to the next cultivation level would basically be a matter of course. Now, it was all gone. More importantly, he probably would not have any use for them in the future. Didn't you hear me clearly? I said all of you. Hand over all your universe bags. Du Shaoqing extended her hand and grabbed Yan Ming's universe bag. She directly kept it in her bosom. Her gaze continued to sweep across the group of people around Yan Ming. Immediately, the complexions of the crowd following Yan Ming also turned deathly pale. Their complexions alternated between green and red. What are you waiting for? Do you want to die? The little tiger shouted. Everyone's tears were about to fall. Could it be that the pain was unbearable? They gritted their teeth and tossed out their universe bags. Some of the young monster kings that followed Yan Ming had already cursed Yan Ming's 8 generations of ancestors in their hearts. They could have provoked anyone, but they provoked the Bai Fong Divine Bird clan. Who did they provoke to suffer such an unexpected calamity? The delicate girl and the handsome young man looked at Du Shaoqing. They sized her up from head to toe. They were very interested. They never knew that a bet could be made like this. Bai Ruyan was a little helpless. A light flashed through her eyes. You can go now. Du Shaoqing put away all the universe bags and waved her hand at Yan Ming and the others. She had a smile on her face. She was charming and holy. The group of people immediately left as if they had been pardoned. They did not dare and did not want to stay for another second. Bai Ruyan looked at Du Shaoqing and said, "This is not the place to talk. Follow me." Looking at Bai Ruyan, Du Shaoqing nodded. Everyone left, leaving behind a crowd of stunned onlookers. I didn't expect Qin Long and the people from the Bai Fong Divine Bird clan to come. Qin Long, Bai Ruyan and the others are here. It should be related to the human youth who killed Du Yu. I heard that the human youth was being chased by a sacred beast expert. He should be dead by now. The onlookers started to disperse. Some people were discussing softly. Before the Beast Alliance meeting started, it had already caused a lot of commotion and became the topic of discussion. It also made people look forward to the Beast Alliance meeting this time. It's them. They once ate meat with that human youth. Hurry up and inform the Lord. At the corner of the crowd, there were a few figures from the Beast clan. They looked at Du Shaoqing, Qing Luan, Little Qing, and the others from afar. They lowered their heads and revealed joyful expressions. In the ancient city, the sun was about to set. Multicolored light filled the air. In the secluded courtyard, the limestone road was paved. Time had left ancient traces on it. What's your name? Outside the ancient wooden house, Bai Ruyan asked Du Shaoqing. Du Shaoqing. Du Shaoqing did not hide the truth. Follow me in. I have something to ask you. The rest of you, wait outside. As Bai Ruyan finished her sentence, her skirt swayed and she walked into the wooden house. Behind her, the delicate girl and the handsome young man followed her in. However, those battle servants stood outside the house respectfully and automatically became alert. They released their aura and sealed the surrounding space. Du Shaoqing looked at Du Shaofu. She looked nervous and also expectant. Then, under Du Xiaofu's secret signal, she also entered the wooden house. Creak, the door of the wooden house was tightly shut. An invisible, blazing aura sealed the surroundings. Ouyang Shuang, Little Tiger, Dai Xingyu, Qing Luan, Little Qing, and the others' expressions changed slightly. They looked at Du Xiaofu intentionally or unintentionally. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and secretly released his consciousness. With the power of his primordial spirit, those battle servants and Bai Ruiyan's seal were like decorations. Chapter 2280. Translator, H2DH2 Mr. Inside the wooden house, it was simple but elegantly decorated. The number of places like this in this ancient city could probably be counted on one's fingers. This place has already been sealed by me. Can I see your true form? Inside the wooden house, Bai Ruiyan no longer concealed herself. She sized up Du Xiaoqing from head to toe. She was very surprised and also very puzzled, her eyes filled with confusion. Du Xiaoqing's hand seals condensed. Green and red light began to spread in her innocent eyes, as if flames were dancing. Boom! In the next instant, waves of terrifying green and red light spread out from Du Xiaoqing's body, like a cocoon of light covering her delicate body. The area also grew larger and larger, covering her entire body in an instant. A shocking wave of energy accompanied by a terrifying pressure spread out, shaking the surrounding void, pure-blooded descendant. Exclamation point. Following the changes in Du Xiaoqing's body, the delicate young girl and handsome young man's expressions changed greatly, and they couldn't help but cry out in surprise. In a short time, the green and red cocoon of light covering Du Xiaoqing's body began to explode with dazzling talisman patterns, like countless threads of energy. The energy waves became more and more shocking, like a volcano about to erupt. Following which, a not too large phantom of the Baifeng divine bird appeared behind Du Xiaoqing's back. The red stripes and brilliant green feathers were resplendent and dazzling, like a phoenix or a crane. Accompanied by a blazing aura that filled the sky, the air in the surrounding space evaporated into white smoke. Beep, the cry was sharp, piercing the primordial spirit. The delicate young girl and handsome young man seemed to have been bound by an irresistible contract. Their eyes were crimson red, the talisman patterns around them overflowing into the sky. Raging flames spread, and their bodies expanded, about to transform into their true forms. Pure-blooded descendant. Bai Ruiyan, who had been calm all this time, could no longer remain calm at this moment. Her delicate face changed color, and her eyes shone, resplendent and dazzling. I can feel that you are my clansman. My primordial spirit has an unlocked seal. I came from this place. Do you know my origins? Du Xiaoqing retracted her aura, gazing expectantly and longingly at Bai Ruiyan, hoping to obtain information about her origins. As Du Xiaoqing withdrew her aura, the delicate girl and the handsome young man finally calmed down. The shock in their eyes was unbearable. Intense ripples appeared in their eyes as if they had discovered a new continent. Where are you from? Bai Ruiyan also calmed down a little. She stared at Du Xiaoqing. The outside world. I entered this place from the outside world in search of my origins, Du Xiaoqing said. The outside world. Bai Ruiyan's expression changed again, but she seemed to have known something long ago. She said, it really has been opened again. There are creatures from the outside world that have barged in, do you know my background or not? Du Xiaoqing asked. I can't tell you the answer, but the answer you want, maybe the ancestors of the clan can tell you. Come back to the clan with me. You are a member of our clan, and your bloodline may be even higher than Brother Qi Yan's. You should go back to the clan. Bai Ruiyan stared at Du Xiaoqing. She was a pure-blooded descendant, and her bloodline was far superior to hers. She felt that this bloodline seemed to be even higher than Brother Qi Yan's. When she returned to the clan, it would probably cause a huge commotion. Okay, I will follow you back to the clan. I want to know my origins. Du Xiaoqing nodded. This time, she came to the ancient desolate ominous ground in hopes of finding her origins. Her beast soul had a seal opened, but the seal wasn't detailed. She could only feel that her origins should be here. Now that she finally had some clues, Du Xiaoqing didn't want to give up. The battle servant that followed you, as well as, her, two other beasts, are they also from the outside world? Bai Ruyan was very curious. Although she didn't see it with her own eyes, she already knew that Yan Ming was defeated by a battle servant. That battle servant was definitely not ordinary. From the aura and temperament of the other two beasts, she could also feel that they were all extraordinary people. That's right. We are all from the outside world. You can trust us unconditionally. Du Xiaoqing said with determination in her eyes. Bai Ruyan's eyes moved, and she didn't ask any more questions. She told Du Xiaoqing, you are from the outside world, so there should be many things that you don't know. You just faced Qing Long, a Nirvana realm grand supremacy of the 8 Desolation demonic dragon clan. His cultivation has already reached the level of indestructibility. He is ranked 6th among the top 10 experts of the younger generation of the Beast Alliance. You must be careful next time. Hearing that, Du Xiaoqing pouted and said indifferently, he is just a Nirvana realm grand supremacy. He is just ordinary. There is nothing special about him. A Nirvana realm grand supremacy was indestructibility. Du Xiaoqing indeed only felt that it was ordinary. Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaojing, and the others were either Nirvana realm grand supremacies or innate saint realm experts. They had already stepped into the saint realm. Qing Long couldn't be compared to them. However, Du Xiaoqing's indifferent expression, as if she didn't care at all, left Bai Ruyan, the delicate and pretty young girl, and the handsome young man speechless. The Beast Alliance meeting is about to begin. We need to return to the clan as soon as possible. This time, we came under the orders of our seniors to investigate the artifact soul of the primordial saint artifact and a mysterious human young man. However, we didn't find anything. Rest well tonight, and return to the clan tomorrow morning. Bai Ruyan said in the end. All right. Du Xiaoqing nodded. She was very clear about the artifact soul of the primordial saint artifact and the mysterious human young man. The artifact soul of the primordial saint artifact had already landed in her brother's hands. The mysterious human young man was undoubtedly her brother. The battle servants outside the wooden hut wore solemn expressions. Their gazes were sharp as they stood guard in the surroundings. Du Xiaofu withdrew his consciousness and saw through everything. The wooden hut opened and Bai Ruyan and the others walked out. They sized up Du Xiaofu, Ouyang Shuang, Qing Luan, Little Qing, the little tiger, and the others. She could sense that these battle servants and two beasts that had entered from the outside world weren't simple. They gave her a feeling that they were difficult to see through. They were very mysterious. It was already dusk. The curtain of night had descended. After that, Bai Ruyan arranged a place for Du Xiaoqing to stay. Du Xiaofu and the others naturally followed behind Little Qing. I already know everything. Returning to the clan will save me a lot of trouble. We'll act according to the circumstances. Du Xiaofu's voice transmission entered Du Xiaoqing's ears. A silver hook in the night sky sprinkled down boundless radiance. In an ancient courtyard, Du Xiaofu leaned against a pavilion. The streets of the ancient city ahead were still brightly lit. Occasionally, a figure would fly through the night sky and enter the city through the city gate. I wonder how everyone is doing. Du Xiaofu looked at the moon and thought about his drunkard father, sister Xiaojing, brother Qing Chun, little Xingxing, and the people from the desolate country. Let's go to the Baifeng Divine Bird clan first before making any plans. After a while, Du Xiaofu muttered in his heart. He hoped that he could find out about Du Xiaoqing's background in the Baifeng Divine Bird clan. The next morning, everyone set off for the Beast King mountain range. Swish, swish, in the void, many figures flew in the direction of the Beast King mountain range to participate in the Beast Alliance meeting. With Bai Ruyan around, no one dared to get close. When they saw Bai Ruyan and the other demonic beasts avoided them. The Baifeng Divine Bird clan's position in the Beast Alliance was too high. No other beasts dared to provoke them. Along the way, the delicate young lady and handsome young man were very intimate with Du Shaoqing. They seemed to be very curious about everything in the outside world. Bai Ruyan, on the other hand, didn't talk much. The few battle servants had solemn expressions and didn't say anything. Du Xiaofu followed behind unhurriedly. From the conversation between the delicate young lady, handsome young man, and Du Shaoqing, he found out that the delicate young lady was called Bai Kun and the handsome young man was called He Shuo. This was the first time Bai Kun and He Shuo traveled from the Beast King mountain range. They followed Bai Ruyan to broaden their horizons. At the same time, Du Xiaofu had a better understanding of the so-called Beast Alliance from Bai Kun and He Shuo. There were many major clans in the Beast Alliance. For example, the 8 Desolation demonic dragon behind Qing Long and the Luoyu clan behind Luoyu who was killed were the strongest clans in the Beast Alliance. As for the Baifeng Divine Bird clan, it was publicly acknowledged as the strongest clan in the Beast Alliance. The clan leader of the Baifeng Divine Bird clan had always been the alliance master of the Beast Alliance. The reason was that there was the most powerful existence in the Baifeng Divine Bird clan that intimidated the entire Beast Alliance. Sister Shaoqing, is it very big outside? Are there any members of our Baifeng clan outside? In the void, Bai Kun asked Du Shaoqing. Chapter 2281. There are 3 continents, Kyushu, outside. It's incomparably vast and has many secret lands. Although the Baifeng Divine Bird clan doesn't exist outside, there's a senior in the 9 Great Clans farm. He's from the Baifeng clan and has always taken care of me. According to him, he only possesses the bloodline of our Baifeng clan by chance. Du Shaoqing told Bai Kun. This was the first time she met a member of her clan. It's so boring. I wonder how long it will take. Du Xiaofu mumbled. Along the way, with Bai Ruyan and the others, no one came to find trouble or strike up a conversation. However, it was still very boring. As a battle servant, you can't talk too much. A middle-aged battle servant beside Du Xiaofu reprimanded Du Xiaofu. Why can't battle servants speak? Our battle servants outside can speak. Du Xiaofu spoke up. Finally, there was someone who could speak. You can't talk too much. Otherwise, you'll be punished. The middle-aged battle servant was taken aback and continued. Why can't battle servants talk? That's too cruel. Du Xiaofu seemed to be interested. He said to the battle servant, then, can you make an exception for a battle servant as strong as me? Qinglong's conditions for me aren't low. I should be able to talk, right? Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the middle-aged battle servant was stunned. He wanted to say something but hesitated. Then, he simply ignored Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu was helpless. It seemed that before arriving at the Beast King mountain range, he would have to be bored. Bai Ruyan flew across the sky gracefully. She naturally heard Du Xiaofu's words. She didn't say anything, but a scarlet light flickered beneath her feet. Intentionally or unintentionally, she increased her speed. Du Shaoqing, Qing Luan, Little Tiger Du, Dai Xingyu, and the others followed closely behind. Du Xiaofu also calmly followed behind. After a while, Bai Kun and He Shuo began to fall behind. The other battle servants were even more flushed with shame. They were doing their best, but they were falling further and further behind. Bai Ruyan's beautiful face rippled slightly without leaving a trace. Her speed slowed down a little. She did it on purpose to test the strength of Du Shaoqing and the others. She had a rough idea that these people were not simple. They were all mysterious. Bai Ruyan couldn't help but have some doubts in her heart. Could it be that the creatures of the outside world were all so unpredictable? Boom! Suddenly, a ray of light shot up into the sky. Far in the distance, an expanse of resplendent talisman runes flickered. It was like a river of stars had fallen, mysterious and vast, ancient and boundless. That aura spread out. Even though they were far away in the void, it was enough to make people's hearts tremble. Bai Ruyan's figure stopped, and her eyes flickered. Du Xiaofu also looked to the front and secretly released his consciousness. There seemed to be something being born there. With such a huge commotion, it was definitely not simple. There are treasures or ruins that have appeared, and they're rather far from us. I'll go first, and you guys follow behind to prevent others from getting there first. Bai Ruyan spoke, and her figure was already like a graceful bolt of lightning as she left. Swoosh, Du Xiaofu increased his speed. Whether it was treasures or ruins, he didn't want to miss them. Brother, wait for me. Du Xiaoqing also increased her speed. Then, Dai Xingyu, Qing Luan, Little Qing, Little Tiger, Ouyang Shuang, and the others also increased their speed. They broke through the sky and instantly surpassed Bai Hao and Ho Shuo. Looking at those figures breaking through the sky, Bai Hao and the others seemed to have yet to recover from their shock. These people's speed was actually so terrifying. It seemed like they hadn't used their full strength all along the way. Du Xiaofu followed Bai Ruyan's side, maintaining a distance of several dozen feet. It wasn't good to be too fast, so as to avoid suspicion. Ouyang Shuang, Dai Xingyu, Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, and Qing Luan followed behind. Their speed was a little slower, but not by much. Bai Ruyan was surprised again. She had already used her full strength, but the battle servant was still able to follow closely behind. It even gave her a feeling that the battle servant wasn't using his full strength at all. How could she not be surprised? After a while, a land of ruins appeared in front of them. There were resplendent runes constantly flickering in the void, and the surrounding void was distorted. It was very strange. And in the distorted void, there was a continuous stretch of ancient palace buildings. Mysterious runes shuttled back and forth. It was extremely majestic, grand, and magnificent. The city walls were modeled. It was a ruin of a mansion, as if it had been buried for countless years and was carved with traces of time. Bai Ruyan and Du Xiaofu landed on a mountain top one after another. Ouyang Shuang, Dai Xingyu, Du Xiaoqing, and the others followed closely behind. Awoo! At this moment, there were many beast roars coming from all directions. Many demonic beasts directly appeared in their true forms. This was the fastest way to travel. Demonic beasts of various races gathered. There were giant monkeys that were several dozen feet tall, fierce wolves that were hundreds of feet tall, and fan-sized butterflies. However, their auras were terrifying. There were also flood dragons, giant pythons, unicorns, a large number of demonic beasts gathered, and many battle servants rushed over. Soon, there were many figures gathered outside the entrance of the ruins. Fierce auras gathered and soared into the sky. Swoosh, swoosh, Bai Ho, Ho Shuo, and the others finally arrived. They landed on the mountain top while gasping for breath. There's an ancient broken formation. Dai Xingyu saw it from afar. It was a ruin that had opened, but there were traces of a broken formation. It was extremely dangerous. It's a 5-colored demonic butterfly. It's my first time seeing it. That's a unicorn-colored glass beast. It's extremely rare. It's my first time seeing it too. The densely packed demonic beasts attracted Bai Ho and Ho Shuo's attention. They were very surprised and curious as they looked around. Awoo! A flood dragon roared in front of them. It revealed its huge body and stretched across the mountain top. For some reason, it opened its ferocious bloody mouth and swallowed more than 10 people directly. After the mouth closed, blood splashed out. It had eaten more than 10 people alive. Soul-devouring flood dragon, you want to eat my battle servants? You're courting death. A loud shout was heard. A giant bull stepped out. Its 2 horns were as sharp as blades, and its aura was extremely powerful. Awoo! In an instant, the flood dragon and the giant bull engaged in a fierce battle. The two seemed to have a huge grudge against each other. They did not hold back at all. Sonic booms were endless. Huge rocks were shattered, and the mountain top was swept away. The flood dragon and the giant bull were very strong. They did not control their attacks at all. In the battle, sand and stones were blown away. The energy surged, and many people were affected. Many battle servants who were not strong enough suffered. Some of them even had their bodies pierced by the flying sand and stones. They screamed in agony. Soul-devouring flood dragon, heaven-trampling bull, you 2 bastards want to die. Some demonic beasts shouted. Their battle servants had been sacrificed in vain, and they were furious. Bastards, you'll pay the price. Some bad-tempered demonic beast kings directly joined the battle and attacked the soul-devouring flood dragon and heaven-trampling bull. You killed my battle servants. Fight! When the first demonic beast joined in, there was a second one, and then a third. In an instant, the dispute inexplicably developed into a shocking chaotic battle. The sound waves were monstrous and swept out in all directions. Rumble, as the earth shook, Bai Ruyan, Du Xiaofu, and the others were inevitably affected. A large amount of gravel and strong wind swept over, and they had no choice but to retreat. This group of evil beasts. Du Xiaofu retreated while cursing. He did not conceal his voice at all. He was just short of shouting. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Bai Kun, Ho Shua, and the others secretly clicked their tongues. This battle servant was really bold. Calling demonic beasts evil beasts in the Beast Union's territory, this was definitely going to provoke public anger. Sure enough, in the chaotic battle ahead, many fierce eyes followed the voice and stared at Du Xiaofu. Pairs of fierce eyes were filled with cold light. It was extremely frightening. This was the Beast Union's territory. The beasts were the strongest existences. Humans were just battle servants. There was actually a human who called them evil beasts. This caused public anger. Puny battle servant, is it you who is speaking? A huge vicious bird stared at Du Xiaofu, and its voice was sharp and gloomy. Puny battle servant, you're courting death. A huge monkey beast roared. Its voice was like thunder, and its aura was terrifying. It was as if it wanted to tear Du Xiaofu in half at any time. Du Xiaofu had just retreated and was standing alone on a mountain peak. He was bored all the way, and he was also affected. At this moment, he was being yelled at by these inferior demonic beasts. He was in a bad mood and replied, "Don't provoke me. Otherwise, I'll annihilate you bunch of evil beasts who don't know life from death. I'll cook your meat into soup." Such a voice resounded and echoed in all directions. Chapter 2282. This battle servant is looking for death. Arrogant battle servant, he should be killed. Tear that battle servant alive for a sumptuous meal. The surrounding beasts were momentarily stunned, then exploded. All the beasts in the chaotic battle stared at Du Xiaofu at the same time. Even the instigators, the soul-devouring flood dragon and the heaven-trampling bull, were united in their ferocious gazes as they locked onto Du Xiaofu, killing intent pervading the air. Suddenly, the entire sky darkened, as if dark clouds were pressing down, accompanied by a terrifying fiendish aura that swept downwards. The giant bird that first berated Du Xiaofu flapped its wings and swooped down towards Du Xiaofu. A.O. A giant python covered in scales lashed out horizontally. Its scales were eerie and glowed with a bloody light. It even had wings, looking ferocious and intimidating. It opened its bloody mouth and swooped towards Du Xiaofu, as if wanting to swallow Du Xiaofu before the bird did. Evil creature, I'll use your meat to make soup. Today, I'm going to eat to my heart's content. Du Xiaofu's gaze darkened. He reached out with his right hand and grabbed a palm-sized rock in his palm. He threw it viciously at the giant python covered in scales. At the same time, Du Xiaofu's figure leapt out. He reached out with his left hand and with a flash of light, his figure strangely appeared under the wings of the bird. His left hand clawed directly at the bird's right wing. Die! Du Xiaofu shouted loudly. His small figure was like an elephant compared to an ant, but at this moment, he exploded with astonishing strength. He lifted the bird's right wing and swung it fiercely in the air, directly flipping the giant bird in the air and smashing it to the ground like a bird with broken wings. Rumble, the earth shook and the mountains shook. Rocks exploded and the ground cracked continuously. The body of the bird was already dripping with blood. It couldn't be more dead. At the same time, a bloody hole the size of a fist appeared between the eyebrows of the giant python covered in scales. Red and white liquid flowed out as the python lost its vitality. The bird and python were definitely not weak either. They were both at the peak of the beast region and the overlord region. They weren't too far away from the realm region. However, at this moment, the ferocious bird and giant python were killed in such a brutal and overbearing manner. It was especially shocking. With a single throw of a rock, he killed a beast king. With one hand, he tore another demonic beast king down and smashed it into meat paste. What kind of ferocious strength was this? Everyone was stunned, dumbstruck. The surrounding creatures were shocked by how Du Xiaofu had killed the ferocious bird and the giant python in one move. That kind of cruel and tyrannical method also made their hearts tremble for no reason. This battle servant is so savage. Bai Hao and Ho Shua looked at each other. It was the first time they had seen such a brutal battle servant. Very strong. Bai Ruyan's eyes rippled. That battle servant was too mysterious. Even though she had just seen him attack, he still gave her an unfathomable feeling. Battle servant, you're courting death. How dare you kill members of our beast alliance? You're courting death. Everyone was only stunned for a short moment. Killing two demonic beasts wasn't enough to completely intimidate everyone. There were still many young beast kings in the chaotic battle. A human battle servant had killed two demonic beasts in front of them. He was so savage and arrogant. How could they tolerate it when there were so many demonic beasts? Evil creatures, if you provoke me again, I'll roast you all into soup. Du Xiaofu stood on the back of the ferocious bird and looked at the group of roaring demonic beasts in front of him. Even with his current cultivation, he was still surrounded by a group of beast region realm demonic beasts. He couldn't help but smile helplessly. Is this battle servant really going to eat those guys? Ho Shua and Bai Hao looked at each other, speechless. There were so many beast kings, at least a few dozen of them. Was the battle servant really going to eat them all? Could he? Many beast kings were quite strong. Puny battle servant, you're dead meat. The soul-devouring flood dragon, the instigator of all this, shouted. Its huge body shuttled through the void and opened its ferocious mouth, directly pouncing towards Du Xiaofu. The tongue in its huge mouth flickered, and the smell of blood assailed the nostrils. Baleful aura surged, and the aura confined the void. This soul-devouring flood dragon had the strength of a peak domain realm expert. It wanted to swallow Du Xiaofu directly. Evil creatures, I'll roast you all today. Du Xiaofu shouted, and his figure directly swept out. How could this little flood dragon imprison Du Xiaofu? His figure directly swept out, and instantly appeared behind the flood dragon's huge tail. Chi La, Du Xiaofu stretched out his hand, and claw marks distorted the void to imprison the flood dragon. He swung its huge tail a few times in the void, whistling through the void, and ripples spread out. A human, who was as small as an ant in comparison, was swinging a giant flood dragon in circles. How shocking was this visual impact! It was too ferocious, and it made people's breathing stop and their hair stand on end. The soul-devouring flood dragon's eyes were filled with horror. Its hair stood on end, and a chill climbed out from the depths of its beast soul. Die! Du Xiaofu shouted, and used the flood dragon as a long whip weapon. He swung the flood dragon's huge tail at the group of demonic beasts. Bang bang bang, the flood dragon's body was too long. A ferocious monkey and a ferocious wolf couldn't dodge in time, and were smashed into meat paste. The flood dragon's body was also flattened, like a deflated balloon, and it lay in front of the entrance of the ruins dripping with blood. Many people were dumbstruck, and their hair stood on end for no reason. How ferocious was this? Was he still a human? He was even more ferocious than the beasts. Kill. Roast meat and make soup. I want to eat roast meat. I want to eat too. That was far from the end of what had stunned the surrounding beasts. Loud shouts rang out one after another as figures tore through the air like bolts of lightning. Roar. Gee. Beep. The tiger's roar shook people's souls, and the sound waves rolled like thunder. The cry of a phoenix entered people's ears, penetrating their primordial spirits, and piercing the beast's souls as it resounded through the void. In a short moment, the figures rushed out, and the huge tiger flapped its wings, ready to pounce. Its body was ink black, and black runes soared into the sky. As it flapped its wings, a terrifying wave of air swept out. One could clearly see a faint golden ripple undulating like a tsunami. It was incomparably domineering, and it caused the ground below to crack and the sea of trees to rise and fall, rolling up huge waves. An expanse of sparkling and translucent green flames covered the entire sky, and there was a loud and clear cry that was like a green sun. Then, an enormous green bird soared in the sky. Its gorgeous tail feathers were suffused with green runes, and it was moving. When it spread its wings, it was agile and dignified, and it revealed the aura of a supreme beast. A bifong divine bird, dozens of feet in size, flapped its wings in the sky, and a terrifying pressure suddenly descended. It was like a phoenix, a crane, and a monstrous blazing aura, causing the surrounding beast souls to wither. Dark heavenly tiger, Qingluan of the Phoenix clan. Bai Ruiyan's delicate body trembled, and her eyes were lifeless. Although the pitch-black tiger was quite strange, she recognized its identity. It was the body of a dark heavenly tiger, and what Little Blue had transformed into was actually the original body of the Blue One of the Phoenix clan. Dark heavenly tiger, Qingluan, and Qingluan, how could Bai Ruiyan not be shocked? Oh my god! At this moment, Bai Hao and Ho Shua were dumbfounded, and they gasped. Bai Feng divine bird, dark heavenly tiger, and, that's Qingluan. Everyone was shocked. When the three beasts appeared in the sky, the terrifying pressure brought by the three supreme beasts made countless eyes tremble. All the battle servants' primordial spirits couldn't help but tremble. All the demonic beasts present felt their blood boiling, and their beast souls trembling. The pressure was unstoppable, and they were about to crawl on the ground. Kill! The little tiger pounced, and the tiger roared like thunder. Its claws created clouds, and mysterious runes spread out. It had the power to collapse mountains and crack the earth. Its claws tore the void, and its wings swept everything. Bang, 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 towering trees were broken, and huge rocks were torn apart, and finally turned into powder. The scene was horrifying. It's definitely not an ordinary dark heavenly tiger. This kind of power made Bai Ruiyan's expression change. The dark heavenly tiger was extraordinary, and its roar could move mountains and rivers, and suppress tens of thousands of beasts. Little Blue opened its mouth, and billowing flames accompanied by mysterious runes erupted out like a volcano. The temperature was so high that it made people crawl, and their souls were about to wither. The rolling flames wrapped around a demon beast king at a strange speed. Under the high temperature of the flames, even the demon beast king's soul was shivering. It was too late for it to escape. The surrounding space was covered by the flames, as if it had turned into a sea of fire. The Qingyuan flapped its wings, and the blue flames spread out in the sky. Its beautiful tail feathers were moving, and its wings were agile and majestic. It showed the aura of a supreme beast, but wherever it passed, it destroyed everything. Du Shaoqing, the little tiger, the Qingyuan, and Little Blue heard that they were going to roast meat and make soup. They were afraid that there would not be enough to eat, so they immediately joined the battle. Two graceful and incomparably beautiful figures, wrapped in light, shuttled back and forth on the battlefield. Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu were also attacking. With their current cultivation, it was easy for them to deal with ordinary demonic beast kings. Seeing Du Xiaofu being besieged, Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu knew that it was not convenient for Du Xiaofu to expose his strength. Naturally, they would not stand by and do nothing. Oh whoa, help! Oh no, it's the Baifeng divine bird. It's the dark heavenly tiger. Help! In an instant, the world around the ruins was boiling. The demonic beasts kept roaring, and blood mist poured out. The void kept exploding. At this time, the demonic beasts wanted to die, and their beast souls were trembling. They did not expect that a battle servant would attract the Baifeng divine bird and the dark heavenly tiger. It was too late for regrets. The other party had no intention of letting them go. Bang, bang, bang. Du Xiaofu flew across the sky, throwing out punches and palms. Wherever he went, the demonic beasts' bodies would explode. Blood splattered all over the sky. He was extremely domineering and ferocious. There were only a few dozen demonic beasts. They were not enough for Du Xiaofu, Little Blue, and the little tiger to kill. In just a few breaths, the entrance of the ruins was covered with corpses. The demonic beast's blood dyed the mountain red. The murderous aura was terrifying. Chapter 2283. Oh my God, are all the creatures in the outside world so cruel? Bai Kun and Ho Shua took a deep breath. Their throats were burning as they swallowed their saliva. Those fellows were definitely not ordinary ferocious. Not only the battle servant was cruel, but Little Qing, Little Tiger, and the others were also cruel. Retreat, retreat quickly. The monsters and battle servants in the distance retreated a little after witnessing the brutal scene of the kings. None of them dared to provoke them. Search. When the last ferocious beast fell, Du Shaoqing and Little Tiger had already withdrawn their true forms. They shuttled through the densely packed small mountain of ferocious beast corpses on the ground, looking for Qiankun bags, digging out secret bones, and cutting out hard materials from the beast's body. These could be sold at a high price and were all top-quality materials for refining weapons. Qingyuan, Ouyang Shuang, and Dai Xingyu were already used to it. They joined in and did not waste anything. Gulp, gasps of cold air could be heard all around, and the sound of swallowing could be heard. Everyone's blood ran cold, and their hair stood on end. Dozens of monster kings were killed in a short time. Even their beast souls and primordial spirits did not escape. Looking at those figures digging out bones and cutting up corpses, were they really the divine birds of Baifeng, Qingyuan, and Dark Sky Tiger? Why did they look like a group of well-trained bandits? Boom, a shocking explosion came from the entrance of the relic. The distorted void shattered, and the sky was filled with colorful lights. Energy fluctuations surged, and an ancient aura spread across the sky. The broken formation is broken. The relic mansion has been completely opened. There must be treasures. The shocked and surprised eyes came back to their senses, and they immediately turned red. The relic mansion had been opened, and everyone came for it. This was their real purpose. The relic mansion had been opened, and there must be treasures and great rewards. This relic is ours. Whoever dares to take a step closer will be killed without mercy. Looking at the relic mansion, Du Xiaofu's eyes moved. His voice was like thunder, shaking the void in all directions. Such a voice fell into the ears of every living creature, like a heavy hammer from the heavens. This was an ancient mansion, and Du Xiaofu didn't want to separate people. Anyway, now that the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan was here, the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan would take the blame. Who would dare to cause trouble for them? What is the meaning of this? The beast kings and battle servants, who were about to enter the ruins with bloodshot eyes, changed their expressions upon hearing this. Some living beings had already charged out. When they heard Du Xiaofu's words, they froze in the air, and their expressions changed drastically. Didn't you hear clearly? These ruins are ours. Whoever dares to take a step closer will be killed without mercy. The little tiger let out a tiger roar, and the sound waves rolled up like stormy waves beating the shore. Whoever dares to come near, kill. Du Xiaoqing said. The scorching aura of the Baifeng Divine Bird spread out without holding back. The scorching heat evaporated the air. Whoosh! Du Xiaofu's figure was like a bolt of lightning, and he had already taken the lead to enter the mansion. The red-bone horse monkey quietly released his primordial spirit. Under the influence of his talent, Du Xiaofu immediately knew where the treasures were. Take everything. Du Xiaoqing and the little tiger followed closely behind, and their hands naturally took out their Qianquan bags. Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu didn't fall behind. Light flickered in their slender hands, and their Qianquan bags were already prepared. Soon after, the numerous ferocious gazes from all around the ruins were dumbfounded as they saw a couple of figures shuttling back and forth within the ancient ruins. They were packing up everything and stuffing whatever they could grab into their Qianquan bags. The only thing missing was the brick. What is the meaning of this? Are they going to take it all for themselves? This is too much. They want to take it all for themselves. This is too much. Lower your voice. Lord Bai Ruyan of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan is there. Do they want to die? What, Lord Bai Ruyan is also there. Why is the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan so overbearing? Are they going to take everything in the ruins for themselves? The surrounding demonic beasts were furious, and their eyes were blazing with hatred. However, none of the creatures dared to approach. The previous scene was too intimidating, and no one wanted to die. Those were the Baifeng Divine Bird, the Phoenix, the Green Luan, and the Dark Sky Tiger. They couldn't afford to offend them. Some people saw Bai Ruyan and trembled in fear. With the experts of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan present, they didn't dare to be presumptuous. This is too much. This is too much. This is the behavior of bandits. The surrounding demonic beasts were indignant and angry, but they could only express their displeasure in a low voice. They didn't dare to approach or speak loudly. With Bai Ruyan present, they were afraid of offending the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. At this moment, Bai Ruyan's face was full of shock, and she couldn't recover from her shock. Looking at Du Xiaoqing who was shuttling back and forth, Bai Ruyan sighed in her heart. How did this Baifeng Divine Bird grow up in the outside world? How did it grow up in the outside world? The pure-blooded descendant of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan, the descendant of the Sovereign Beast Clan. How could she behave like a bandit? If this news were to spread, the entire Baifeng Divine Bird Clan would be seen in a new light. The Phoenix, the Green Luan, and the Dark Sky Tiger were all the descendants of the Sovereign Beast Clan, but they were all the same. Could it be that all the creatures in the outside world were like this? At this moment, Bai Ruyan secretly decided that no matter what, when Du Xiaoqing returned to the clan, she would teach her well. Cultivation skills, so many cultivation skills. Ancient array record. Ancient martial techniques. Precious elixirs. Elixirs, so many domain-grade elixirs. They are comparable to sacred elixirs. Du Xiaofu shuttled back and forth in the ruins. He didn't have time to read carefully, so he packed everything up. He didn't know who this ruins belonged to. Although Du Xiaofu didn't find any extraordinary treasures that could cause a phenomenon, there were a large number of cultivation skills, martial techniques, elixirs, and other cultivation resources. These cultivation resources were all from before the Dragon Phoenix tribulation. How shocking was it? It was equivalent to turning a corner of the Dragon Phoenix tribulation. I'm rich now. Du Xiaofu was secretly delighted. He had already changed 2 cosmos bags. Under the circumstances where he didn't have time to look carefully, he could only take whatever he saw. As long as it was valuable, he couldn't pass it. Du Xiaoqing and the little tiger were not much worse than Du Xiaofu. They took whatever they could get their hands on. Just like that, under the furious crimson eyes outside the ruins, Du Xiaofu and the others walked out of the ruins after about 10 minutes. Du Xiaofu knew that there shouldn't be anything left behind in the ruins from the Redbone Horse Monkey's primordial spirit. He walked out with satisfaction. The 6 of them walked out from the remains of the mansion with smiles in their eyes. Alright, let's eat the meat and stew the soup. Don't waste it. Looking at the piles of demonic beast corpses outside the ruins, many of them had extraordinary bloodlines and were great nourishment. Du Xiaofu wanted to nourish himself. The key was that he knew that these demonic beast corpses and some spiritual herbs were extremely beneficial to Ouyang Shuang, Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Qing Luan, Little Qing, and the others. I'll go pack. I'll go set up the grill. Hearing that they were going to roast meat and stew soup, Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, and Qing Luan's eyes immediately lit up. They didn't need Du Xiaofu's instructions at all and began to divide the work tacitly. Then, at the entrance of the ruins, Du Xiaoqing and Qing Luan washed the demonic beast meat and specifically picked those with high bloodlines to start with. However, Du Xiaoqing and Qing Luan didn't start with those ugly demonic beasts that looked like humans. It was mainly because Du Xiaofu, Ouyang Shuang, and Dai Xingyu couldn't do it. Little Tiger had also moved a huge rock over and set up the grill and stove. Taking out the special cauldron, Du Xiaofu started a fire to stew the soup and barbecue. Still the same, Du Xiaofu added a lot of spiritual herbs and even treasured herbs into the soup. The level of those treasured herbs made the demonic beasts in the surroundings secretly tremble. Multicolored light filled the air, energy fluctuated, and medicinal fragrance wafted for hundreds of miles. Not long after, the demonic beast meat was fragrant, and oil was sizzling out. The fragrance in the golden brown color soared into the sky. In addition to the spices that Du Xiaofu sprinkled, the smell had already made Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Qing Luan, and Dai Xingyu drool. It was just that this scene fell into the eyes of the demonic beasts in the surroundings, and they were all creeped out for no reason. Bai Ruyan, Bai Ke, Ho Shua, and the battle servants of the Baifeng divine bird clan were all dumbfounded at this moment and couldn't recover their senses. Is she really a descendant of our Baifeng clan? Bai Ruyan couldn't help but doubt. If she didn't see it with her own eyes, she would never believe that the beautiful woman who was like a bandit who was familiar with the process would be a pure-blooded descendant of the Baifeng clan. Eat. When the aroma of the roasted meat reached its strongest point, Du Xiaofu tore off a piece of the best flood dragon meat and handed it to Ouyang Shuang with a smile, showing that he was trying to please Ouyang Shuang. Ouyang Shuang didn't stand on ceremony. In terms of demonic beast meat, she had learned a lot from the sacred array child, Zhen Qingchen. Every time, she could make her master, crazy old man, drool. It smells so good. Little Tiger, Du Xiaoqing, Qing Luan, Little Qing, and Dai Xingyu had already started eating heartily. They ate the meat and drank the soup. Multicolored light filled their mouths as they ate heartily. Instantly, the image of the Baifeng divine bird, Phoenix, Qing Luan, and dark heavenly tiger disappeared without a trace. Dai Xingyu and Ouyang Shuang were not much different. Oh my God, they are really eating. This is a provocation. Those battle servants are provoking our beast alliance. The heaven-trampling bull, soul-devouring flood dragon king, and other kings are stewing and roasting their meat. This is too much. They are provoking our beast alliance. Lower your voice. The Baifeng Divine Bird Clan and Dark Heavenly Tiger Clan are originally from the Beast Alliance. Those battle servants are also eating. This is a great disrespect to our Beast Alliance. This is a provocation to the entire Beast Alliance. This is too arrogant. Especially that battle servant. He is so savage and arrogant. This is all his idea. He is looking down on us. The discussions around grew louder and louder. More and more demonic beasts were getting angrier. This was the Beast Alliance's territory. Roasting the demonic beast king's meat and stewing it into soup in front of them was a blatant provocation. They couldn't tolerate it. Chapter 2284. However, under this absolute intimidation, no one dared to step out. Some demonic beasts felt their hair stand on end. Those guys were really eating demonic beasts. If they provoked them, they would be eaten. Their bones and skin would be roasted and stewed. Just the thought of it made their souls tremble. But their roasted meat smells so good. It should be delicious. Suddenly, such a sentence came from an unknown corner. I've never eaten roasted meat like this before. It looks delicious. Faintly, another such voice sounded out as if it was caught off guard. That pot of soup has a lot of spirit herbs and treasured herbs. It should be very nutritious. Those guys really know how to eat. Two more similar voices rang out from two different corners, landing in the ears of many creatures. Gulp, suddenly, the sound of saliva being swallowed could be heard. On a mountain not far away, Byrian's face was filled with astonishment. She was in a daze. It smells so good. Bai Kun and Ho Shua raised their heads slightly. Smelling the fragrance, they couldn't help but lick the saliva from the corners of their mouths. Bai Kun, Ho Shua, come and eat. It smells so good, Du Shaoqing shouted. Okay. Bai Kun and Ho Shua couldn't help but rush over. Bai Ruyan wanted to stop them but stopped. Her red lips curled into a bitter smile. In the end, she didn't say anything. Delicious, so delicious. Roasted meat is so delicious. Unbelievable. Bai Kun and Ho Shua said. They didn't know there was such delicious meat. Sister Ruyan, do you want to try? It's so delicious. Bai Kun and Ho Shua carried the treasured soup and roasted meat to Bai Ruyan. You guys eat. I don't need it. Bai Ruyan shook her head. She didn't know why, but she felt as if she was swallowing her saliva. That fragrance was too fragrant, as if it had a great temptation. Then, she simply turned around. She was a descendant of the Baifeng clan, how could she do this? Okay. Bai Hao and Ho Shua were helpless. They knew that Sister Ruyan was a woman who didn't eat the food of mortals. Come, you guys come and eat as well, Du Xiaofu said to the battle servants. The battle servants couldn't help but drool. They deliberately didn't look in that direction, but the aroma of the roasted meat and treasure soup was too tempting. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the battle servants moved slightly, but they still stood straight, not daring to move. Go and eat. Bai Qi and Ho Shua said to the battle servants. Thank you, young master. With Bai Kun and Ho Shua speaking up and seeing that Bai Ruyan didn't say much, the battle servants didn't hold back either. It smells so good. Then, there were battle servants whose eyes lit up. This smell was just too fragrant. This is too much. This is an absolute provocation. Everyone was furious. Vicious eyes were scarlet red one after another. Those battle servants were too unbridled. What's with the noise? If you make any more noise, I'll eat all of you. Du Xiaofu shouted loudly. The group of demonic beasts rustled and chattered. Although their voices weren't loud, it was still quite annoying. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the demonic beasts' expressions changed. They immediately shut their mouths and involuntarily retreated. Swoosh swoosh, in the void, there was the sound of wind breaking. A group of people broke through the void. Their aura was very vast, attracting the attention of everyone below. There were quite a few people in this group. There was a young man in the lead. He had a slender body, a handsome face, and a pair of dark brown eyes that emitted an enchanting luster. Lord Qinglong. That's Lord Qinglong of the 8 Desolation demonic dragon race. A demonic beast king was pleasantly surprised as he recognized the person. That was Qinglong of the 8 Desolation demonic dragon race, the 6th leading figure among the younger generation of the Beast Alliance. Bai Ruyan lifted her eyes. Her dark red hair fluttered in the wind. Her fiery red dress fluttered slightly. Her figure swayed gently, moving one's soul. When Qinglong saw Bai Ruyan, he also saw Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoqing, and the rest who were eating heartily. Finally, he looked at the mansion in the ruins. Lord Qinglong, these battle servants monopolized the treasures in the mansion. They killed the soul-devouring flood dragon, heaven-trampling bull, and the rest and barbecued meat to drink soup. Lord Qinglong, these battle servants are too arrogant. A demonic beast king plucked up his courage and said to Qinglong. However, he didn't dare to mention the Baifeng divine bird race or the dark sky tiger. Instead, he pushed all the blame to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu didn't pay any attention to the surrounding comments. He continued to eat and drink soup heartily. Let's go. Qinglong looked below and his eyes moved slightly. He didn't say anything and left directly. Why did Lord Qinglong leave? Some demonic beasts were puzzled. They thought Qinglong would stand out and didn't expect Qinglong to turn around and leave directly. The Baifeng divine bird race is also here. Qinglong doesn't want to get involved. Yesterday, Lord Qinglong and Bai Ruyan met and agreed to fight Lord Xie Xie or Lord Qi Yan at the Beast Alliance meeting. A voice spoke out and made a guess. I'm full. After a while, Du Xiaofu patted his stomach and burped. These demonic beast descendants from before the Dragon Phoenix tribulation did have good meat. It was like wild meat and was much better than those outside. Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xinyu were also full and regained their charming temperament. They were completely different from the way they were eating just now. Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Qing Luan, Bai Ho, and Xia Shua finished all the remaining soup and barbecued meat after a while and smiled in satisfaction. Let's go back to the tribe. Bai Ruyan said. She couldn't hold it in anymore. Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoqing, and the rest leaped up and chased after them. Du Xiaofu was in a very good mood after eating and drinking to his heart's content and obtaining the collection of a mansion in ruins. It was just that the journey was going to be rather dull again. Fortunately, from Bai Ho and Xia Shua, Du Xiaofu learned that the Beast King mountain range was not far ahead. The Baifeng divine bird race was in the Beast King mountain range. However, although it was not far, with everyone's speed, it would still take more than half a day. After those battle servants ate the meat and drank the soup, they witnessed Du Xiaofu's strength and were much more enthusiastic and respectful towards Du Xiaofu. In the ruins of the mansion, everyone had been delayed for a long time, and it was nightfall again. It's not safe to travel at night. This place is extremely dangerous. After resting for a night, we can reach the Beast King mountain tomorrow. On the mountain peak, Bai Ruyan landed and said to everyone. There were many dangerous places in this place, and the route they took was a safe one. However, when night fell, there would be strange things. Often, there would be experts who would get lost for no reason, and there were very few who could survive. Therefore, there were very few creatures who would travel at night. With Du Xiaoqing around, Bai Ruyan didn't want any accidents to happen. Anyway, it was not far away. There was enough time to reach the Beast Alliance convention. Then let's rest. Du Xiaofu said. Even the Baifeng divine bird race said so. This place was definitely not simple. There would be danger. Safety was the most important. Night fell and everyone rested. Du Xiaoqing, Dai Xingyu, Little Tiger, Bai Ho, and the battle servants sat cross-legged and began to refine the energy contained in the soup in their bodies into pure celestial qi. Many figures were wrapped in light, flickering and dazzling. Their auras were vigorous. On the mountain peak, there was a seal set up by Bai Ruyan. It was filled with the aura of the Baifeng divine bird race. No one dared to approach it. Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged. The energy contained in the soup was not worth mentioning at his current cultivation level. It was like a drop of water in the ocean. It was not very useful. With his eyes closed, Du Xiaofu was comprehending the 3 sword moves that he obtained from the immemorial sacred artifacts artifact soul. Du Xiaofu was immersed in the sword moves. He clearly felt that he had comprehended most of them, but when he executed them, it was like drawing a tiger. He could draw the skin but not the bones. I really can't comprehend them. Du Xiaofu's stubborn temper rose. He didn't believe that he couldn't comprehend them. He began to comprehend them together with the tyrannical sword principle that he comprehended from the ancient stone tablet. Swish, swish, the light was dazzling. Du Xiaofu's hand seals were formed. Occasionally, there would be a flash of sword light at his fingertips. After that, he sank into deep thought. On the mountain peak, Bai Ruyan sat cross-legged. Her hair fluttered in the wind, emitting a faint light. Under the moonlight, she was like a goddess of the mountain range. Bai Ruyan's gaze was fixed on Du Xiaofu. Such a battle servant didn't have a good appearance, but the formless aura gave Bai Ruyan an indescribable feeling. Along the way, she had secretly probed many times, but she didn't get any useful information. It made him seem even more mysterious. This battle servant is mysterious and unfathomable. Bai Ruyan muttered in her heart. No wonder Qin Long wanted to target him. If such a battle servant was really a battle servant, then the clan would definitely value him highly after he returned to the clan. Time passed very quickly as everyone was cultivating. After a night, the morning sun dyed the sky red, and the red clouds of dawn covered the entire sky. Huff, huff, Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Dai Xingyu, Ouyang Shuang, and the others retracted their hand seals and exhaled. The aura on their bodies shook the surroundings. All of them had gained a lot of benefits. Du Xiaofu opened his eyes. His clear eyes were clear. He frowned slightly. There wasn't much progress in the comprehension of sword moves. He felt that something was missing. It felt like he was stuck at a bottleneck. Let's slowly comprehend. Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. He stretched his body and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Let's go. It's not far. We'll reach the clan in a few hours. Bai Ruyan and a few battle servants were already waiting at the side. Hearing that, Du Xiaoqing was a little nervous. They were going to reach the Baifeng Divine Bird clan today. At that time, would they be able to find out about their origins? Then, everyone continued to set off. Along the way, they saw many creatures heading towards the Beast King mountain range. 4 hours later, a vast mountain range appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The Beast King mountain range is in front. We'll be able to go home soon. Bai Kun and Ho Shua were delighted. I didn't expect to meet Sister Ruyan. Long time no see. A voice was heard. When the voice fell, 3 beautiful figures appeared in the void in front of them. There were only 3 people, 3 young women. The first was a beautiful figure with a graceful figure. Her fiery red hair was even more gorgeous than her white hair. Her long hair cascaded down her shoulders to her slender waist as if she had no bones. Together with her perky breasts, it formed a fiery arc. The woman was very young. She wore tight clothes. Her lower body was curvy. Her sleeves were very short, revealing her ivory white arms. Her skin seemed to be fragile. Her pitch-black eyes were quick-witted. There was a kind of charm in her valiance. Such a woman was too beautiful. She could move the hearts of all men. In particular, she had an extremely unique temperament. She was charming and valiant. Her temperament was different from Ouyang Shuang, Dongli Qingqing, and Su Muxin. However, each of them had their own merits and there wasn't much difference. Behind the woman, there were two other women who looked to be in their mid-20s. They looked exactly the same. Although they couldn't be compared to the woman in front of them, they were definitely beauties. Their clothes were fluttering in the wind. Their curves were exquisite and they were tall. Especially when the two women stood together, they gave off a unique kind of attractiveness. Great Sovereign Nirvana Realm. They are immortal. They are not inferior to Qing Long. Du Xiaofu's gaze fell on the charming red-haired woman in front of him. Her concealed aura couldn't escape Du Xiaofu's prying eyes. She was a young sovereign of the Beast clan. She wasn't inferior to Qing Long, so its sister Xiaoyao. You came so early. The Beast Union meeting will only start in 3 days. Seeing the charming woman, Bai Ruiyan smiled. There was a slight difference in her eyes. How could Xiaoyao meet me so coincidentally? She must have been waiting outside the Beast King mountain range. Dazhang, continue writing. Chapter 2285. Xiaoyao, from the Overlord Python clan. Hearing that, Du Xiaofu did not leave any trace. He had learned a lot about the Beast Alliance from Bai Kun and Ho Shua yesterday. Among the top 10 young powerhouses of the Beast Alliance, there was Xiaoyao. Xiaoyao was the young supreme of the Overlord Python clan, ranked 5th among the top 10 young powerhouses of the Beast Alliance, above Qing Long. It's good that you're here early. To be honest, there's something I need to tell you. Xiaoyao looked at Bai Ruiyan and said. Please go ahead, Sister Xiaoyao. Bai Ruiyan did not move, but smiled. Actually, I want to ask about the people behind you. Xiaoyao also smiled. Her eyes swept across the crowd and landed on Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Ouyang Shuang, and the others. Her face was beautiful as she said with a smile, I heard that a few days ago, you had eaten meat with the human youth who killed Lu Yu. Do you know where that human is now? Hearing that, Du Xiaoqing, Ouyang Shuang, Qing Luan, and Xiaoqing's expressions changed. This woman called Xiaoyao was here for them. Du Xiaofu did not leave any trace. It seemed that this Xiaoyao was not simple. She actually found Du Xiaoqing. Bai Ruiyan's expression also changed. She had come out this time to find out about that mysterious human youth, but she did not know that Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, and the others had drunk and eaten meat with that human. Xiaoqing, Sister Xiaoyao asked you a question. Answer whatever you have, Bai Ruiyan smiled and said to Du Xiaoqing. You mean that human youth? He was the one who told us to eat barbecued meat. It tasted good. He even asked Lu Limo from the human race to eat with him. After that, I don't know where that human went. I heard that he was chased by the Beast Alliance's Saint Beast Realm powerhouses. I think he's dead. Du Xiaoqing was not stupid. She did not leave any trace. Her expression was relaxed, and she had a smile on her face. She was like a flower of the night, enchanting and holy. Compared to Xiaoyao, each had their own merits. However, she was not inferior. She was less mature, but more holy. According to the news I received, that human is very strange. He runs very quickly. The Saint Beast Realm could not catch him. Xiaoyao looked at Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, and the others. Xiaoyao looked at Du Xiaoqing, Qing, and the others. Little tiger, and little tiger, Qing, and the little tiger tiger. Little, Xiao, and Qing. Little Yao Cloud was. Xiao lose, is. Yao's lose ins lu, yang, yang is. I don't want to borrow anything. I just want to find that human youth. Xiao Yao giggled at Du Xiaoqing and said, I have some tricks. You have been in contact with that human youth. Let me check your beast soul and I will know where he is. I promise I won't hurt your beast soul. I seldom ask people for help. You won't refuse, right? Du Xiaoqing, Ouyang Shuang, Dai Xingyu, and the others all changed their expressions. Xiao Yao did not believe Xiao Yao and wanted to search for the beast soul. Bai Ruiyan's eyes also darkened. She looked at Xiao Yao and said in a cold voice, Xiao Yao, don't go too far. She is a disciple of the Baifeng clan. Don't be angry, Sister Ruiyan. I said I won't hurt her beast soul. I am very interested in that human youth, so I have to do this. Please forgive me, Sister Ruiyan, Xiao Yao looked at Bai Ruiyan and said. Then I have to see the strength of the Overlord Python clan. Bai Ruiyan spoke. Xiao Yao was clearly intentionally provoking her. A blazing aura abruptly gushed forth from her body, causing her hair to flutter in the wind as her skirt fluttered in the wind. Although Bai Ruiyan's ranking was not as high as Xiao Yao's, she was not weak. Not to mention that Du Xiaoqing was a pure-blood descendant of the Baifeng clan. Even if she was a disciple of the Baifeng clan, she would not allow anyone to search for the beast soul. You are really annoying. Why do you have to find that human? I heard that he likes to eat snake meat. You are a member of the Overlord Python clan, right? Be careful that he stews you into soup. Then it will be too late for regrets, Du Xiaoqing said. She knew that if Bai Ruiyan fought with Xiao Yao, Bai Ruiyan would be at a disadvantage. Hearing Du Xiaoqing's words, Xiao Yao was slightly stunned. How dare you? Behind Xiao Yao, the two twin girls immediately berated in unison as they stared at Du Xiaoqing. Battle servant, you are so arrogant. Unfortunately, I don't eat humans. Otherwise, I would eat you. Du Xiaoqing glared at the twin girls. They were battle servants and had strong qi, but she was not afraid. Try me. The twin girls were angry and stepped forward. Two strong qi immediately swept out. They were both at the peak of the bounded domain realm. They were Xiao Yao's battle servants. Xiao Yao valued them the most. The two girls were twins and had an impeccable tacit understanding. When the two girls joined forces, their power would increase exponentially. How dare you? Your master is talking. Why are you talking? You don't look like battle servants. Du Xiaofu said and stepped forward, looking at the two beautiful girls. Who are you? The twin girls were stunned and looked at Du Xiaofu with displeasure. Although they were battle servants, they were highly valued by Xiao Yao. Coupled with their talent, their status outside was not ordinary. I am also a battle servant. Du Xiaofu looked at the two girls and said seriously. You are courting death. The twin girls felt that they were being ridiculed and their faces darkened at the same time. As soon as they finished speaking, the girl on the left was already in front of Du Xiaofu like lightning. Her body was wrapped in light. Boom! The girl's hand seals had already been formed. A palm print in her slender hand erupted with dazzling splendor. Mysterious runes fluctuated and it was as if a monstrous ferocious beast was about to break through the air. Its power was astonishing. The girl on the right also arrived. She clenched her 5 fingers and punched out. A dazzling light spilled in front of her fist. Her chi surged like a torrential flood. There were 2 graceful figures and 2 beautiful girls. Their seemingly delicate figures seemed to contain terrifying energy. One was above the other, and the other was below the other. Their coordination was flawless. Too weak. Du Xiaofu's expression did not change. These two girls were really arrogant. It seemed that like battle servants were like their master. Break! With a loud shout, Du Xiaofu's figure shot through the air. It was simple and direct. He flicked his sleeve and slapped out with a palm print. A ripple of energy swept out in all directions. Enormous waves surged into the sky while space warped. The ground below cracked while huge rocks exploded. Bang! Bang! The twin girls were blasted away. Their hair was disheveled while they spat out blood. Their figures fell from midair and smashed into the cracks in the ground. It's Xiao Yao. By Ruyan of the Inferno Divine Bird Clan. Such a commotion drew the attention of the living beings in the surroundings. The two girls crawled up from the ground in a sorry state. Blood dyed their clothes red, their faces were ghastly pale, and their gazes were filled with shock. They had never imagined that their joint forces would actually be unable to resist a single move. Their opponent was so strong. Bai Ruyan's expression was calm. This battle servant seemed more and more unfathomable to her. Even an ordinary overlord realm cultivator would probably be unable to defeat Xiao Yao's two battle servants with a single move. Xiao Yao gazed at Du Xiaofu with absolute surprise in her eyes. Her strongest battle servant had actually been unable to withstand a single blow. How could she not be moved? Since you injured my battle servants, then I'll take you as compensation. As soon as she finished speaking, Xiao Yao's beautiful figure flashed out and pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Since she had yet to find that human young man, this battle servant before her seemed to be not bad. If she could take this battle servant, she would probably gain quite a bit during the Beast Alliance meeting. Du Xiaofu was moved. He naturally didn't take the undying and imperishable realm seriously, but his identity would probably be exposed if he made a move. Xiao Yao, you've gone too far. Right at this moment, Bai Ruyan attacked. She flew into the air while blazing talismans interweaved with each other. The image of an Inferno Divine Bird appeared behind her. It was blazing and destructive as it enveloped Xiao Yao. Ruyan, you're not a match for me. At this moment, Xiao Yao's bearing immediately became domineering. There was no longer a smile on her face while her eyes glowed. Her graceful figure was like a nimble snake in the air as she twisted through space in an unbelievable trajectory and directly avoided Bai Ruyan's attack. At the same time, a resplendent ray of light shot towards Bai Ruyan from her slender hand. Chapter 2286. I'll ask for your advice first. Bai Ruyan said in a low voice. Blazing green and red flames rose from her body. It was as if her graceful body was bathed in flames. The folds of her fiery red dress were like flames. Light flowed through the air. Her aura soared into the sky. Her temperament became completely different in an instant. There were fluctuations of flames that collided with the former. Boom! The two collided, and the void rumbled. Runes shattered, and energy surged in all directions. Sand and stones were stirred up below, and the ground cracked. Rumble. At the same time, Xiao Yao continued to attack. His slender hand stretched across the sky and pushed out a palm. His aura was domineering, and there was the sound of wind and thunder. Accompanied by blazing light, his aura was very terrifying. Bai Ruyan was moved. She had fought with Xiao Yao before, and now that they were fighting again, she knew that Xiao Yao's improvement was astonishing. Originally, she thought that she had improved a lot and obtained many opportunities over the years. Perhaps she could fight with Xiao Yao. But now, Bai Ruyan's heart was in turmoil. Xiao Yao had also become stronger over the years. Qi La, torrential green and red flames surged. Bai Ruyan's slender hand brushed past, and flames engulfed Xiao Yao's body. The high temperature of the flames obliterated Xiao Yao's palm. In the battle between the two women, one was like an otherworldly goddess, and the other was like a tyrannical and bewitching witch. Every movement of hers was like a fairy dancing, graceful and moving. However, behind her was destruction. Waves of terrifying energy radiance erupted, shaking the void. That's Xiao Yao and Bai Ruyan. Such a battle shook the surroundings, and immediately attracted a large number of onlookers. Xiao Yao was still charming, but his aura was domineering now. Bai Ruyan's strength was also not what it used to be. She had improved a lot, and she was no longer careless. Her ivory arms moved, and mysterious runes surged out, enveloping her alluring body. At the same time, a giant python condensed from runes roared and rushed out from between her hands. Bai Ruyan formed a hand seal, and the runes erupted. A divine bird phantom flapped its wings and flew out, directly exchanging blows. Rumble, resplendent runes erupted, and the void exploded. Torrential heat and domineering energy surged out. The void exploded, and the blazing flames and domineering energy swept out. Waves appeared in the void, and the two beautiful figures were blown back. However, Bai Ruyan was knocked back far away, and her face was pale. Xiao Tian was pushed back, but he quickly stabilized his body. His eyes began to emit a special light, and there were bright talisman runes flickering in his palm. Accompanied by a mysterious mist, the surrounding void began to blur. Buzz! In an instant, the onlookers seemed to have heard the sound of wind and thunder. Xiao Yao's palm was so powerful that the people and beast souls could not help but tremble. Tyrant Python King Trembling Seal. Xiao Yao tapped the air with her foot and her beautiful figure leaped into the air. She pushed out with her palm and the palm print exploded. Mysterious talisman runes flashed and covered a large area of the void, sealing off the surroundings. Strong winds blew. Wherever this palm print passed through, large swathes of the void would silently shatter, revealing traces of a vacuum. Overlord Python King Trembling Seal, this is the ultimate move of the Overlord Python. Someone among the spectators in the distance cried out in surprise. The ultimate move of the Overlord Python clan was no small matter. Bai Ruyan gritted her teeth slightly. Xiao Yao was still above her. She had to go all out. Xiao Yao, do you want to fight in advance? Suddenly, such a shout rang out in the sky. A figure descended like a bolt of lightning. The azure-red flames were unleashed in an instant, forming a storm of azure-red flames. The terrifyingly high temperature incinerated the surrounding space into nothingness. Boom! In the green and red flaming storm, a fist print rushed out like a meteorite. The blazing green and red flames were crystal clear and condensed like lava from a volcano. Bang! The sound was like thunder, and the void trembled. Mighty energy soared into the sky, dazzling the surrounding onlookers. They were extremely shocked. Dang! Dang! Two figures retreated. Under Xiao Yao's feet, the void trembled. Her face had already changed. A muscular figure was also retreating. The flames under his feet filled the void. Green and red light gushed out of his eyes like burning flames. With a hint of coldness, he looked at Xiao Yao and said, "If you want to fight in advance, I'll accompany you." Blackmail. Looking at the man who had suddenly appeared, Xiao Yao's expression changed. She glanced at Bai Ruyan, Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoqing, and the others. Her beautiful eyes flickered secretly. Forget it. I'll save it for the Beast Alliance meeting. Why waste my energy first? In an instant, Xiao Yao was at ease again. Her face was full of smiles. I'll make you pay for this at the Beast Alliance meeting. The man who was called Blackmail spoke. His voice was low and shook the void. Is that so? Xiao Yao smiled. Then, she waved her hand and brought the two battered female battle servants who had already leaped from the ground into the Beast King mountain range. Looking at Xiao Yao's back, Blackmail turned around. His long green hair was shoulder-length. His body was muscular, and his face was serious. He gave people a feeling that he was emotionless. Especially his eyes, they were like volcanoes. They were extremely terrifying. Brother Blackmail. Bai Kun and Blackmail were pleasantly surprised when they saw the man. They immediately walked up. It's Lord Blackmail. No wonder Xiao Yao retreated. Lord Blackmail is ranked 4th among the top 10 experts of the younger generation. He's higher than Xiao Yao. The living beings around were shocked. Many of the main characters of the Beast Alliance meeting had already appeared. How could they not be shocked? Not bad. Du Xiaofu sized up Blackmail. He already had a rough idea. Tianzi was not much weaker than Yelu Han and Dugu Fenshin. In the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan, there were 2 people who were ranked 4th and 1st among the top 10 experts of the younger generation in the Beast Alliance. They were called Blackmail and Qi Yen, respectively. It was enough to show that this clan was not simple. Brother Blackmail, why are you here? Bai Ruyan secretly heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Blackmail. She was also surprised to see Blackmail here. The clan received your message. A pure-blooded descendant of our clan has returned. The elders are very shocked. Recently, a human youth appeared nearby. They were afraid that something might happen along the way. The clan leader specially ordered me to come out of seclusion to welcome you. Blackmail said to Du Xiaoqing. He restrained his aura and calmed down. His gaze was sizing up Bai Ruyan, Qing Luan, Little Qing, and Du Xiaofu. Bai Ruyan was very shocked. For this Beast Alliance meeting, almost all the top 10 experts were in seclusion for their final sprint. Yet, the clan leader actually ordered Brother Blackmail to come out of seclusion to welcome them. It was enough to show how important this was to the clan. The degree of importance even exceeded her expectations. You must be Du Xiaoqing. Welcome back. The clan leader and elders are already waiting for you. Blackmail's gaze finally landed on Du Xiaoqing. His seemingly emotionless face revealed some gentleness. Chapter 2287. Du Xiaoqing nodded slightly. Her eyes were fixed on the mountain range in front of her. There was a familiar aura there, and it was getting closer and closer. Bai Ruyan's expression changed. Not only did the clan send Brother Jiao Xie to welcome them personally, but the clan and the elders were also waiting. Everything was not simple. Could it be that Little Qing, who had returned from the outside world, had some secrets? Let's go back to the clan. Jiao Xie said. Du Xiaoqing looked at Du Xiaofu. Her heart was filled with anticipation. Du Xiaofu nodded silently. They were about to reach the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. He hoped that he could find out about Little Qing's origins there. Whoosh whoosh, the group flew into the air and entered the Beast King mountain range. This was already the entrance of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. With Jiao Xie and Bai Ruyan there was no danger along the way. Because of the Beast Alliance meeting, there were many disciples of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan along the way, welcoming and guiding the participants to their destination. The mountain range was lush and green, and the energy of heaven and earth was shockingly rich. This was a land of treasure. 4 hours later, in the center of the Beast King mountain range, a huge ancient city stood in front of them. It was grand and majestic. Even from far away in the void, they could feel a majestic aura. The closer they got, the more they felt that the huge city was incomparably huge and exuded an ancient aura. At the foot of the ancient city, there were many creatures. There were strong demonic beasts and battle servants. Many of them had powerful auras. There were also demonic beasts that did not transform into human form. However, they did not reveal their largest bodies either. They only transformed into a few dozen feet in size and waited in line to enter the city. Some of the demonic beast kings had powerful auras and were extraordinary. There were many battle servants and other demonic beasts following them. We're finally home. Jiao Shua said. They were finally home. They had learned a lot along the way. Jiao Xie. Under Bai Ruyan's lead, the group flew into the city from the void. Below, the disciples and battle servants of the Bai Fong clan bowed respectfully. The creatures waiting in line also looked at them with respect. Stepping into the city, Xiaoqing's eyes glowed. The aura here was one with her. She seemed to have seen everything here before in the seal in her mind. It was here. She felt that her origin should be here. Her heart grew more and more nervous. The inside of the city was even larger. There were actually many large mountains inside. A few huge ancient buildings were built along the mountain, towering on the mountain. They were grand and magnificent, and their area was extremely large. At this moment, there was a bustling crowd in the city, making it seem very lively. Occasionally, there would be an extraordinary aura peeking out, as if they wanted to know who these people were, who could directly fly through the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. Many young experts from different clans have arrived. It's so lively. They're all waiting for the Beast Alliance meeting. Bai Kun was very happy. This was the second time she had seen so many people. The first time was during the Beast Alliance meeting. However, she was still too young at that time and couldn't even transform into human form. There are a lot of people. It's very lively. Ho Shua was also very excited. The Bai Fong clan didn't have many disciples. Normally, there wouldn't be so many people in the clan. If there weren't any battle servants in the clan, there would be even fewer people. After a while, Ho Shua brought everyone to a single mountain-top building. This mountain-top was filled with fog and energy fluctuations. There were even many spiritual herbs planted in the surroundings. Unfortunately, they weren't ripe yet. Both of you, please rest here. If there's anything you need, just ask our servants to do it for you. Ho Shua said to Qing Wan, Little Qing, and Little Tiger. His attitude was very courteous. With his identity and status in the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan, he was already very polite to Qing Wan, Little Qing, and Little Tiger. What about Little Qing? Little Tiger asked. He was worried about Du Xiaoqing. This is the outer city. We need to bring Little Blue back to the inner city. The inner city is the core of our clan. Only the descendants of our clan can enter. Not all of our descendants have the qualifications to enter. The patriarch and elders are still waiting for Little Blue. Please rest here. Little Blue is a descendant of our clan. She definitely won't be in danger. Bai Ruyan explained to Little Blue and Little Blue along the way. She knew that Little Tiger and Little Blue had a very good relationship. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Little Qing said. She felt that her origin was here. She wanted to find the answer. Afterward, Ho Shua, Bai Ruyan, Bai Kun, and Ho Shua left with Du Xiaoqing, leaving behind the battle servants. Little Qing will be fine, right? In the room, after Du Xiaofu set up the restriction, O Yangshuang asked. She was still worried about Du Xiaoqing. She should be fine. Du Xiaofu pondered. From the attitude of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan along the way, Little Qing shouldn't be in danger. He also hoped that Little Qing could find out her origin. The ancient city was vast and boundless. Du Xiaoqing followed Ho Shua. Soon, they arrived in front of a huge mountain with rich fluctuations of heaven and earth energy. The huge mountain towered into the sky. It was so tall that it seemed to connect with the sky. There was a faint blazing aura pervading the air. This is the inner city. It's also the sacred mountain of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. Only the descendants of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan can enter. Ho Shua informed Du Xiaoqing. Du Xiaoqing looked up. Her heart trembled for no reason. Her blood was fluctuating in her body. The inner city was very strict. The entrance was guarded by the experts of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. There were layers of restrictions. The inner city was located halfway up the towering mountain. Du Shaoqing entered the inner city under the guidance of Ho Shua and the others. The surroundings were vast. In the distance, there were continuous mountains. The surrounding light fluctuated. The clouds were faintly discernible. The flowing lights were overflowing. The clouds were rising. It was like a fairyland. Beep, in the inner city, there were Baifeng divine birds that were only a few dozen feet tall or even smaller. They curiously sized up Du Shaoqing. These were the young of the Baifeng divine bird clan. They hadn't reached the stage where they could transform into humans, but their aura was already very fierce and powerful. Brother Ho Shua. Sister Ruyan. Some young men and women ran over. They were also curiously sizing up Du Shaoqing. The inner city is very big. There are some secret places in it. You can visit them later. I'll take you to the main hall first. The patriarch and the elders are already waiting for you. Ho Shua said to Du Shaoqing. Okay. Du Shaoqing nodded. Everything had an innate familiarity. It was very warm and comfortable. In the spacious square, there was a majestic hall. When Du Shaoqing arrived in front of the hall, she was surprised. At this moment, there were many figures standing in front of the hall. In front of her, there was a row of old men. The invisible aura distorted the void. In the front was a middle-aged man who looked like he was in his 40s. He was thin and had long red hair. He was wearing a long robe. He looked very elegant. However, the aura on his body was incomparably powerful. There was no reason for it. There was an imposing aura. Swoosh swoosh, with the arrival of Du Shaoqing, these gazes immediately fell on Du Shaoqing. Everyone was carefully sizing her up. There were fluctuations in their eyes. Du Shaoqing was surprised. She could feel the aura on these old men. It was even more powerful than the grand elders of the known family. Some of them were not far from the saint realm. The red-haired middle-aged man in front of her had an unfathomable aura. Greetings, Patriarch. Greetings, elders. When they saw the group of people in front of them, Ho Shua, Bai Ruyan and the other two saluted. They were very surprised. They did not expect the Patriarch and the elders to personally wait in the square. Thank you for your hard work. The middle-aged man nodded at Ho Shua and Bai Ruyan. He then walked towards Du Shaoqing. Patriarch. Du Shaoqing said. This was the patriarch of the Baifeng clan. The familiar aura seemed to be connected by blood. It was very intimate. Don't be afraid. This is a drop of our clan's blood. I need you to test it. It won't cause any harm. Relax. The middle-aged man said. His voice was very gentle. His eyes were filled with expectation and a little bit of nervousness. When his voice fell, a drop of blood appeared in his palm. Boom! When this drop of blood appeared, it was crystal clear. In the red and green light, it burst out a dazzling light. It was like a red and green sun in the sky. A vast and unparalleled pressure suddenly descended. The experts and elders of the Baifeng divine bird clan trembled in front of such a drop of blood. This drop of blood was too powerful. It was filled with vast fluctuations that shook people's souls. Beep, in the inner city, there was a cry of a Baifeng cub. The disciples of the Baifeng clan who were not strong enough trembled and their bodies went soft. Chapter 2288. Ancestral Blood. Staring at that drop of blood, Xie Xiu and Bai Ruyan's expressions changed. This was a precious treasure of the clan. Not to mention them, even Qi Yan did not have the qualifications to obtain it. They had heard from their elders that there was only one drop of ancestral blood in the entire clan. And now, because of a descendant from the outside world, the clan actually took out the ancestral blood. How could Xie Xiu and Bai Ruyan not be shocked? When this drop of blood appeared, Du Xiaoqing's body trembled as if it had been struck by lightning. The blood in her body suddenly boiled, as if it was about to burn. Her eyes were green and red, resplendent and dazzling. The drop of blood in the middle-aged man's hand also seemed to be attracted by something at this moment. It began to erupt with dazzling green and red talisman patterns, like countless threads of energy. The energy fluctuations became more and more shocking, seeping out a kind of green dense fog. Boom! A terrifying pressure spread out from this drop of blood, accompanied by the dense fog. In the end, it shook the entire inner city, spreading throughout the entire Baifeng Divine Bird clan. Qi La, in the next instant, this drop of blood seemed to come alive, turning into a dazzling stream of light. Like fire and lightning, it swept directly between Du Xiaoqing's brows, drilling into it and disappearing. Seeing this scene, the middle-aged man and the few old men's expressions quietly became extremely serious, also carrying a kind of great anticipation. Their hands clenched into fists, as if they were waiting for something. Boom! When that drop of blood entered between Du Xiaoqing's brows, green and red blood light spread out from Du Xiaoqing's body. The light overflowed into the sky, covering her entire body at an extremely fast speed, as if a layer of green and red blood film was wrapping around her body, like a thick layer of liquid covering her body. In an instant, something seemed to have awakened in Du Xiaoqing's body. Dazzling red talisman patterns spread out, as if flames were jumping. Waves of terrifying green and red light immediately spread out from her body. An extremely shocking energy fluctuation, accompanied by an extremely shocking pressure, suddenly spread out from Du Xiaoqing's body, like a volcano erupting. What a strong pressure! Under such pressure, the elders and powerhouses of the Baifeng Divine Bird clan were shocked. Their bodies trembled violently, and their eyes lit up. Finally, the terrifying aura and pressure swept out from Du Xiaoqing's body like an erupting volcano, bringing with it a wave of energy that soared into the sky. Bang 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 bang. The energy vibrations seemed to cause the world to shake. Bright green and red talisman runes erupted, causing the entire Beast King mountain range to tremble. The earth quaked and the mountains shook, the sky changed color. Beep! At this very moment, a shrill, soul-piercing, deafening buzzing noise came from Du Xiaoqing's body. Amidst the bright, cyan-red runes and symbols, a Baifeng Divine Bird, which was thousands of feet long, flapped its wings and emerged. A terrifying pressure suddenly descended on this ancient world, shaking the entire Baifeng Divine Bird clan and sweeping across the entire Beast King mountain range. The Baifeng Divine Bird's shadow appeared in the sky, as if it had traversed time and space, descending from ancient times. Its terrifying aura was like that of a god, rushing into the endless sky above the void. Beep! Because of this aura, beams of light shot up into the heavens, raging flames, and cries could be heard throughout the Baifeng Divine Bird clan. The Baifeng Divine Birds revealed their true forms and prostrated themselves towards the huge Baifeng Divine Bird's shadow, worshipping it. On the square, many powerhouses couldn't help themselves. Their beast souls trembled, and their blood boiled. They all transformed into their true forms and prostrated themselves on the ground. Jiao Qi and Bai Ruyan were no exception. They couldn't resist the pressure, which came from the deepest part of their bloodline and beast souls. It's fused, it's fused. God bless our Baifeng clan. Only a few old men and the middle-aged man were still standing, trembling. Some of the old men's faces were already covered in tears, and their old faces couldn't stop trembling. The Beast King mountain range trembled, and a vast, blazing aura and pressure descended. Those who didn't have enough cultivation went limp and fell from the sky. Some powerhouses of the Beast clan stepped into the void and looked ahead. The vast aura was coming from there. It's coming from the Baifeng Divine Bird clan. It's causing the world to tremble. Something big must have happened, an old man said, his eyes trembling. With such a commotion, Could it be that someone in the Baifeng Divine Bird clan has broken through to the Saint Realm? A young monster king stepped into the void, his eyes deep in thought. In the Baifeng Divine Bird clan's mountain, Du Xiaofu looked in the direction of the vast aura. He could feel the terrifying pressure of that energy the most. It was too terrifying. The energy fluctuation came from the inner city. Du Xiaofu's expression changed. Du Xiaoqing had just entered the inner city not long ago. Immediately, his consciousness swept out and spied. The vast energy pressure was too great. It was as if an ancient Baifeng divine bird had traveled through time and space. Even Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit was affected. Oh no! Suddenly, Du Xiaofu withdrew his consciousness. He felt an obscure, powerful aura. It was above the Saint Realm. He didn't know if it had discovered him. Rumble, the inner city trembled. The bodies of the Baifeng divine birds were everywhere, and their eyes were trembling. Under such pressure, their blood boiled, and the depths of their beast souls couldn't help but tremble. In the square, Du Xiaoqing's eyes were closed. Her body was wrapped in the bright energy of the mysterious runes, and she seemed to have fainted. You're finally back. I didn't expect to see you again in my lifetime. A voice came from above the void. A hazy figure descended beside Du Xiaoqing. Walala, the huge shadow of the Baifeng divine bird slowly disappeared, and the light dissipated. However, Du Xiaoqing's body was covered with a layer of green and red blood film. It was filled with mysterious runes, like a blood cocoon. The ancient aura fluctuated. It didn't feel hot, but it made people's beast souls burn and wither. She needs some time to integrate with the ancestral blood. The hazy figure was wrapped in green and red light. The surrounding void was also distorted. Then, he left with Du Xiaoqing and disappeared. The pressure in the surroundings slowly dissipated. The figures in the square gradually recovered. Their faces were filled with absolute shock. It took a long time for them to recover. The old man trembled, and his eyes were filled with joy. He seemed to be very excited. Bai Ruyan, Bai Jiao, Bai Kun, and Bai Shua stood up. Their eyes were dull, and they didn't know what had happened. What happened? On the mountain top, Ouyang Shuang asked Du Xiaofu. The commotion just now had startled everyone, including them. I don't know. It came from the inner city. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows slightly. That aura was too vast. He hoped that nothing had happened to little Qing. Then, Du Xiaofu took a deep breath. From the attitude of the Baifeng divine bird clan and what they saw, Du Xiaoqing was undoubtedly a pure-blooded descendant of the Baifeng divine bird clan. She shouldn't be in any danger. Little Qing looked at the city in front of her. There were lively sounds coming from time to time. She said, "It seems to be very lively down there. Let's go down and take a look." Du Xiaofu's eyes moved, and then he smiled. He had just discovered a powerful and obscure aura. He didn't know if it was a saint of the Baifeng divine bird clan. He wanted to go down and take a look to avoid being found. Then, Du Xiaofu took the little tiger, Ouyang Shuang, and the others down the mountain. The battle servants had no choice but to follow. The place where they stayed was also some distance away from the outer city. They had to pass through dozens of mountains. In the mountain stream, spiritual birds were flying, auspicious beasts were spreading their wings, and spiritual herbs were suffused with multicolored light. There were spiritual herbs everywhere. Rare and precious towering trees spread out like giant umbrellas, covering the sky and the sun. On the cliffs, there were spiritual vines bearing fruit, as well as exotic flowers and herbs. The multicolored light was unceasing. This is a treasure land. Du Xiaofu sighed. He didn't know when his stone city would be comparable to this place. This is only the outer city. The good things are all in the inner city. There are precious herbs there. It is said that there are also some sacred herbs. There are ancient formations set up, and the energy of heaven and earth is even more astonishing. It is twice the result with half the effort for cultivation. The middle-aged battle servant said. After eating the barbecued meat and seeing the strength of the little tiger and the others, he was very polite to Du Xiaofu and the others. Is that so? Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly lit up. There were actually sacred herbs. If there was a chance, he must go to the inner city. It would be even better if he could eat some sacred herbs. Then, Du Xiaofu said to the middle-aged battle servant, "Brother, can you introduce me to the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan?" He hoped to know more about the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. Little Yu is really celebrating today, so please comfort him with flowers. Continue writing. Chapter 2289. Translator, H2DH2 Mr. The middle-aged battle servant hesitated for a moment before telling him about the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. There weren't many descendants of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan, and they didn't even have as many battle servants. Du Xiaofu did not find this strange. The more powerful the bloodline of a race, the fewer descendants they would have. This was like an invisible suppression of the heavenly Tao. The heavens were fair. The Baifeng Divine Bird Clan's bloodline was very strong. Among the top 10 experts of the younger generation in the Beast Alliance, the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan occupied 2 spots. Moreover, one of them was ranked first and the other was ranked fourth. It was enough to show their bloodline and foundation. However, Du Xiaofu learned from the middle-aged servant that there were many experts in the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. Every Beast Alliance meeting was hosted by the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. In the Beast Alliance conference, the younger generation of the Beast Alliance would compete against each other. Finally, the Supreme Sky Prides would fight for the position of commander and become the Lord of all beasts, the supreme ruler of the Beast Clan. The middle-aged battle servant said. He had been with the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan for a long time and knew many things. He was proud of being a member of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. Du Xiaofu guessed that this ancient desolate ominous ground was not peaceful, and there were many fights. Du Xiaofu also found out that in the Beast Alliance, the Dark Heavenly Tiger, 8 Desolation Demon Dragon, and other large clans had ruled the Beast Alliance a long time ago. The Baifeng Divine Bird Clan was not the only clan that ruled the Beast Alliance. There are no pure-blooded dragons or phoenixes. However, there are many branches. For example, the 8 Desolation Demon Dragon has the bloodline of dragons. However, they are not pure-blooded dragons. When Du Xiaofu was trying to sniff if there were any dragons or phoenixes, the middle-aged battle servant said. He subconsciously looked at Qing Luan Shaoqing beside him. That was a Qing Luan, a legendary existence in this place. As they spoke, they had already arrived at the city. It was huge and majestic, ancient and bustling with people. What a huge city! Ouyang Shuang sighed. The city here was much bigger than the human city. A person standing at the corner of the wall was extremely small. A door was probably taller than a mountain. This was the territory of the Baifeng Divine Bird Clan. The energy of heaven and earth was very dense, and it emitted a mist. Clouds and mist were faintly discernible, and multicolored light shone. There was also a faint blazing aura in the air. Everything was like a paradise. On the street, Qing Luan Shaoqing, Dai Xinyu, and the little tiger seemed to be very curious about everything. They were running around in excitement. Du Xiaofu and Ouyang Shuang slowly walked on the wide street and curiously sized up the place. This is my first time walking with you like this. Ouyang Shuang approached Du Xiaofu. At this moment, they were in the ancient desolate ominous ground. It was a rare opportunity for the two of them to walk together. Du Xiaofu didn't say anything. He gently grasped the slender hand beside him and slightly squeezed it. These years, he had been focused on cultivation and neglected too many women in front of him. He felt apologetic in his heart. If there was a day when he could, he also hoped that he could hold her hand and walk through the beautiful scenery of this world. He wanted to watch the sunset and the rosy clouds fill the sky. When I become the ruler of this world, I will allow you to call this place your home. Du Xiaofu smiled and said to Ouyang Shuang. When you become the ruler of this world, I only want you by my side. Ouyang Shuang smiled faintly. Her smile could topple cities and was unparalleled. She held his thick arm and leaned on it gently. At this moment, there was only satisfaction in her heart. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's heart was also very calm. However, he couldn't help but think of Su Muxin, Dongli Qingqing, Sima Muhan, and Zi Xian. If he could really reach that day, he couldn't just bring one of them. It would be great if he could bring all of them. There was also his mother, sister, and alcoholic father, Du Xiaofu thought so. The middle-aged battle servant and the others followed behind. Originally, they didn't think much of it when they saw Du Xiaofu and Ouyang Shuang holding hands. In the Beast Alliance, there were many male and female battle servants who got together. Some were even designated by their masters. However, when they heard Du Xiaofu's domineering words, the middle-aged battle servant and the others secretly gasped. This tone was too arrogant. The streets were bustling with noise and excitement. There were even shops. Du Xiaofu was very curious. He pulled Ouyang Shuang and strolled around. To their surprise, they discovered many rare treasured herbs and refining materials in the outside world. These were treasured herbs and refining materials in these shops. If they needed to be exchanged, they could exchange any cultivation resources. Du Xiaofu exchanged for a lot of rare treasured medicines, spirit medicines, and refining materials. Once brought out, they would be priceless. Subsequently, Du Xiaofu also discovered many martial skills and cultivation techniques. These martial skills and cultivation techniques were very cheap in the territory of the Beast Alliance. Compared to the outside world, their value couldn't be any lower. The Beast Alliance was dominated by the beast race. Humans were just battle servants. These martial skills and cultivation techniques were for the battle servants to cultivate. Naturally, they were very cheap. Even those top-notch cultivation techniques and martial skills couldn't be any lower compared to the outside world. In fact, many of the cultivation techniques and martial skills could even be considered as treasures in the outside world. Du Xiaofu naturally wouldn't let go of such a bargain. These martial skills and cultivation techniques were all from before the Dragon Phoenix tribulation. Therefore, Du Xiaofu exchanged a lot. He bought almost everything that caught his eye. In any case, the desolate country, Jianwu Academy, and the 7-star hall could all use them. The middle-aged battle servant and the others secretly gasped. This fellow had too many treasures on him. It was as though he couldn't squander them all. They didn't know why he bought so many martial skills and cultivation techniques. It was as though he was going to buy all the martial skills and cultivation techniques on a few streets. Which clan do these two battle servants belong to? Not bad. A loud voice suddenly sounded. It sounded like a roar and attracted the attention of many people. The voice came from the side. Du Xiaofu turned his head and raised his eyebrows slightly. He saw a strange scene. A group of people were clustered around a feminine young man from the beast race. He was extremely tall, probably 10 feet tall. There were also many battle servants behind him. This feminine young man from the beast race had a dirty look in his eyes, but he was exuding a baleful aura. The most eye-catching thing was the 4 beautiful women beside him. However, they were all humans. They had good looks and seductive eyes. Not bad at all. I didn't expect to meet such trash. This trip wasn't in vain. The feminine young man's eyes lit up as he stared at Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xinyu. The 4 seductive women beside him couldn't compare at all. They were worlds apart. Hearing the feminine young man's words, the four seductive women looked at Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu. Their expressions immediately turned gloomy and deep jealousy gushed out. This is from the four-winged demonic snake race. The four-winged demonic snake race is also a large race. They aren't much weaker than the roe owl race. The men of the four-winged demonic snake race like to copulate with human women. They enjoy it very much. The middle-aged battle servant transmitted his voice to Du Xiaofu and the others. Although they were from the Baifeng divine bird race, as a battle servant, he wasn't qualified to face the four-winged demonic snake race directly. Scram! Ouyang Shuang scolded coldly. She didn't like the gaze of the four-winged demonic snake race man. She hated it. If it weren't for the fact that they were in the Baifeng divine bird race, Ouyang Shuang would have already attacked. This battle servant seems to have some temper. I like hot ones. Hee hee. The feminine young man looked at Ouyang Shuang when he heard that. He didn't use any sacred weapon. Instead, he laughed. You're courting death. Little Tiger made his move. His roar caused piercing pain in the eardrums of the surrounding creatures. His figure swept across the sky like a ferocious tiger pouncing on its prey. While he was in mid-air, a wave of pitch-black talisman runes gushed out from his palm. A claw mark distorted the void, bringing about a tearing phenomenon as it directly grabbed at the feminine youth. With lightning speed, the little tiger attacked violently. Although they were in the Baifeng divine bird race, no one was allowed to humiliate the female master. Rip, everything happened too quickly. The claw mark directly detained the head of the feminine young man. At this moment, the feminine young man's eyes were filled with incomparable fear for some reason. His pupils dilated. Then, starting from his head, he was torn apart by the claw mark, turning into a pool of blood. Drip, drip, the little tiger flicked its sleeves, and a bloody mist poured onto the ground. A supreme aura of a beast filled the air. Its posture was tall and straight, and it was extremely shocking. However, at this moment, the little tiger was secretly shocked. This feminine young man from the four-winged demonic snake race didn't seem weak, but it killed him too easily just now. It didn't take any effort at all. The only explanation was that the little tiger knew that this was done secretly by the third young master. Indeed, this was done secretly by Du Xiaofu. The four-winged demonic snake race man actually had his eyes on Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu. This was Du Xiaofu's reverse scale. When the little tiger attacked, it had already secretly imprisoned the beast's soul with its primordial spirit. Unfortunately, the feminine young man from the four-winged demonic snake race didn't even know what was going on until he died. The middle-aged battle servant and the others were also stunned. They didn't think that such an unforeseen event would happen in an instant. They wanted to stop it, but it was too late. Then, they could only bitterly smile. They knew the temper and savagery of the little tiger and the others, so this wasn't strange. This sudden scene also caused the surroundings to immediately become silent. The people accompanying the feminine young man were even more dumbstruck. They couldn't help but tremble uneasily. However, there were also immediately experts from the divine bird race of the Baifeng divine bird race who appeared with quite a few powerful battle servants. Other than certain areas in the city, all disputes were prohibited. No one was an exception. The middle-aged battle servant and the others immediately went up and said something to the divine bird race of the Baifeng divine bird race in a low voice. When the divine bird race of the Baifeng divine bird race expert heard this, he looked at the little tiger and the Qing Yuan. His expression fluctuated. Then, he actually nodded towards the little tiger. He didn't say anything at all, and after letting the battle servant clean up the bloodstains, he hurriedly left. He must have a great origin. I wonder which race he is from. The surrounding demonic beasts whispered secretly. The divine bird race of the Baifeng divine bird race actually didn't say anything after killing a disciple of the four-winged demonic snake race in the city. They were even polite. This kind of status was extraordinary. What's going on? Du Xiaofu also felt strange and asked the middle-aged battle servant. In order to avoid exposing himself, he didn't use his primordial spirit to investigate just now. The dark sky tiger race has always been a close friend of the divine bird race of the Baifeng divine bird race. I told them the identity of the little tiger, so the race won't pursue anything. However, I'm worried that the four-winged demonic snake race won't let it go. At that time, there will be some trouble. The middle-aged battle servant smiled bitterly. They were the ones who brought these people out. If there was trouble at that time, they would also be punished. Is that so? Du Xiaofu said softly and didn't care. Let's go. Du Xiaofu still planned to stroll around and see if there were any other gains. The battle servant duel area is just ahead. My lords, you should go back first. The middle-aged battle servant had a long face. He was afraid that these fellows would cause trouble again. At that time, he would be in great trouble. A battle between battle servants? Du Xiaofu asked casually. Every time before the Beast Alliance General Meeting, before the competition between the younger generation Supreme Sky Prides of the Beast Alliance, those Supreme Sky Prides would arrange for their battle servants to fight each other. There would be some wagers, such as martial techniques, cultivation techniques, and elixirs. The wagers wouldn't be too high and a powerful battle servant would be able to add to the glory of those Supreme Sky Prides. The middle-aged battle servant said. The stakes of the battle servant showdown weren't high, and these fellows probably wouldn't care about it. There's a bet. Du Xiaofu's eyes lit up. The stakes were not high, but the martial skills and cultivation methods were very attractive. Looking around, Du Xiaofu said to the little tiger, let's go take a look. Okay, little tiger understood Du Xiaofu's gaze too well and immediately understood. Dazhang begging for flowers. Chapter 2290. The middle-aged battle servant was about to cry. These guys really knew how to cause trouble. Not long after, Du Xiaofu arrived at a huge plaza surrounded by huge mountains. The plaza was also protected by a seal, making it difficult to shake or destroy. Bang, 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 there were many battle servants fighting fiercely. Muffled sounds of energy rang out continuously, and there were shouts coming from all around. Densely packed figures surrounded the plaza. Du Xiaofu looked around. Just as the middle-aged battle servant had said, the battles were all between battle servants, and the stakes were martial arts techniques, spirit herbs, treasured medicines, cultivation techniques, and so on. However, some of the bets were bigger, and there were beast kings who had bet precious treasures. The arrival of Du Xiaofu, the little tiger, and the others did not attract any special attention. Everyone's eyes were focused on the plaza. Are there any interested parties? As long as you can defeat my battle servant, you can get a half-step Saint Herb. The little tiger said loudly. He took out a treasured medicine from his heaven-earth bag that was suffused with multicolored light and illuminated the entire plaza. Calling it a half-step Saint Herb might not be enough. However, what the little tiger took out was definitely the top of the treasured medicine level. It was a 9-turn Spirit Emperor herb, and it was priceless. 9-turn Spirit Emperor herb. Suddenly, numerous gazes were attracted to the little tiger, and all of them revealed heated expressions. This was definitely a big bet. How about an 8 stars Emperor fruit for your 9-turn Spirit Emperor herb? A young beast king walked out and took out a spirit fruit with a strong medicinal fragrance. It was the size of a fist, and there seemed to be a kind of natural talisman engraved on its surface. It shone brightly like a small star. The 8 stars Emperor fruit was definitely an excellent treasure among treasured medicines, but compared to the 9-turn Spirit Emperor herb, most people would probably still choose the 9-turn Spirit Emperor herb. Therefore, the young beast king looked at the little tiger, afraid that the little tiger would not agree. Okay, deal. However, the little tiger nodded, a smile in his eyes. The young beast race monarch smiled and waved his hand. A battle servant around 50 years old walked out from behind him. This fellow is so sinister. That battle servant is an expert from his clan and has already won several rounds. Someone spoke in a low voice. That young demonic beast king was too sinister. Who's coming up? The battle servant who looked to be in his 50s walked onto the plaza. His gaze was arrogant and his aura was vigorous. Du Xiaofu smiled and walked onto the stage. Looks like he's going to lose. He's so young, so I don't think he's that strong. Seeing Du Xiaofu's young appearance, the surrounding people didn't think he would win. However, Little Tiger seemed very relaxed and didn't care at all. On the other hand, Ouyang Shuang, Dai Xingyu, Qing Luan, and Little Qing were very helpless. They couldn't help but secretly roll their eyes at Du Xiaofu. This guy really had too much free time. Bang! In an instant, the two of them began to fight. The stakes of the 9 Revolutions Spirit Emperor Grass and the 8 Stars Emperor Fruit were extremely high and attracted a lot of attention. Many people were staring at them curiously. The battle was difficult to determine. In the end, the battle servant no longer held back his strength at the peak of the realm. He activated his martial veins, but he still couldn't completely defeat Du Xiaofu. Boom! The more they fought, the more shocked he became. The battle servant took out a battle halberd, causing the void to tremble and light to overflow. This was a half-step saint-level treasure. This battle halberd was a half-step saint weapon. Lose! The 5 battle servants shouted loudly. The battle halberd light overflowed into the sky, and their aura collapsed and suppressed the void. Du Xiaofu's feet surged with light, and he directly fled. He miraculously dodged in the incomparably dangerous situation. The 5 battle servants' expressions changed, and their auras soared as they attacked one after another. However, Du Xiaofu continued to flee as if he no longer had the strength to fight back. He was already on the verge of collapse and would be defeated at any time. The young demonic beast king had a smile on his face. Victory was already in his hands. A 9 Revolution Spirit Emperor Grass was a huge gain. But then, the young demonic beast king's smile froze on his face. There was a sudden change in the field. For some reason, the 5 battle servants made a mistake and their attacks paused for a moment. Bang! At this moment, Du Xiaofu counterattacked and punched his chest fiercely. At the same time, his left hand clenched into a claw, and light surged. He actually directly snatched the half-step saint weapon from the battle servant's hand. The 5 battle servants vomited blood and were sent flying. They directly lost consciousness, and the battle halberd also fell into Du Xiaofu's hands. This is too unexpected. He actually won. Everyone was surprised and very emotional. Just now, the 5 battle servants seemed to have encountered a small accident. Otherwise, they definitely wouldn't have been defeated. The young demonic beast king's face turned pale. He had lost an 8 Stars Emperor Fruit, which was not low. Du Xiaofu's face was pale, and he was panting. His hair was messy, and he handed the battle halberd in his hand to the little tiger. The 8 Stars Emperor Fruit is yours. Return the battle halberd to me, the young demonic beast king said to the little tiger. This battle halberd was taken from the field. It can be considered a spoil of war. If you want it, then bet again. If you win, it's yours, the little tiger said. The young demonic beast king's face darkened. A half-step saint weapon was definitely not cheap. But if he bet again, his strongest battle servant would be defeated, and no one would be able to enter the field. A half-saint artifact, 8 Stars Sky Emperor Fruit, and 9 Revolution Spiritual Emperor Grass. Is there anyone else who wants to bet? Martial techniques, cultivation techniques, spiritual herbs, treasured herbs, mystic bones, anything will do. As long as he can defeat my battle servant, the half-saint artifact, 8 Stars Sky Emperor Fruit, and 9 revolutions spiritual emperor grass will all belong to him. The little tiger ignored the young demonic beast king. He threw the 8 stars emperor fruit, half-step saint weapon, and 9 turns spiritual emperor grass in front of him and shouted loudly. The precious herbs in front of him were filled with multicolored light and energy fluctuations. They were incomparably tempting, stimulating the hearts of many people. "You're not changing your battle servant?" the young demonic beast king asked as he stared at the little tiger. "No, my battle servant is invincible." "Naturally, I won't change," the little tiger said solemnly. What a big tone. He's clearly an arrow at the end of its flight, but he's still invincible. Hearing this, someone whispered. Looking at the battle servant gasping for breath, his face was pale, and his aura was weak. He was already an arrow at the end of its flight. How could he be invincible? "I'll bet with you." "Come, I'll bet with you too." Instantly, several beast kings were interested in the fight. The other party refused to change his battle servant. This was clearly a great advantage. How could they not bet? "I still want to bet. I want to bet on the things in this cosmos sack." "Do you dare?" The young demonic beast king who had just lost looked at the little tiger and took out a cosmos sack. "Let's bet. Throw the cosmos sack on the square. No matter what it is, as long as you can take it out, I'll bet with you." The little tiger said calmly, not taking it seriously at all. "Okay." The young demonic beast king smiled again. He threw the cosmos sack beside the 8 stars emperor fruit and 9 turns spiritual emperor grass. He signaled with his eyes, and a long-haired middle-aged battle servant walked out from behind him. The long-haired middle-aged battle servant stomped his feet on the ground and flew into the arena. His figure was elegant and unrestrained. A powerful aura suddenly swept out. It was definitely not much weaker than the previous 5 battle servants. "Begin." The long-haired middle-aged battle servant was in midair. He had already shouted and attacked directly. He raised the extraordinary long spear in his hand. The spear light was like a dragon, and his aura was sharp and surging. He wanted to take the opportunity to crush Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu was repeatedly defeated. He did not dare to fight head-on. He staggered back in a sorry state and was in danger several times. I have a lot of precious herbs in my cosmos sack. A true half-saint herb, 3 saint artifacts, and a lot of martial techniques and cultivation methods. Boy, I hope you can pay for it." Ha 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 ha, the young demonic beast king laughed. He was in a good mood. His opponent's battle servant was already struggling on the verge of death. He had deliberately put a lot of precious treasures in his cosmos sack. He had made a killing this time. Even if his opponent paid for the 9 turns spiritual emperor grass, it would still be far from enough. He would definitely make the former go bankrupt. What's going on? However, before the young monster beast king could finish laughing, a smile appeared on his face once again. Bang! 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 A deep sonic boom rang out again. The demonic beast king's battle servant swooped down and stabbed with his spear. For some reason, the spear pierced into the ground. The ground of the square that was strengthened by the seal also cracked. At this moment, under the gazes of the crowd, the battle servant that was struggling on the brink of death found an opportunity. In an instant, he exploded, and numerous fist imprints landed on his chest at close range. Pucci, the long-haired middle-aged man's body was sent flying. He spurted out blood and fell 100 zhang away in a parabola. He seemed to have fainted. His spear was left in the square. He was defeated again. Puff, the smile on the young demonic beast king's face instantly turned pale. He did not know why, but he spurted out a mouthful of blood. Inside his Qinquan bag was his entire fortune. Just like that, Bei lost it for no reason. Is there anyone else who wants to bet? I still won't exchange my battle servant. Take out all your cosmos sacks. If I win, I'll take all of them. It's okay if it's not enough. If you have more, I'll compensate you. After all, my battle servant is invincible. The little tiger shouted. I'll do it. I'll do it. Let's fight. Hearing the little tiger's words, the crowd became more and more lively. Many demonic beast kings were interested in the bet. It was obvious that the battle servant was lucky twice and barely won. Moreover, the battle servant had fought 2 battles in a row and was exhausted. Just now, everyone heard clearly that the Cosmos sack contained 3 saint tools and a true half-saint medicine. These were precious treasures. One at a time. Xiao Hu said loudly with a smile on his face, remember to take out all of your Qiankuan pouches, or else I won't bet. I'll do it. There was a human figure, but his hands and feet were strangely large. His entire body was furry, like an ape, but also like a bear. He took out 3 Qiankuan pouches and threw them out, saying, the treasures I have on me add up to 3 saint tools, and several stocks of peak-level precious medicines. I won't lose to your pile, so I won't take advantage of you. Let's begin. Chapter 2291. The Beast King's voice was like thunder. As his voice fell, a giant-like battle servant behind him walked into the arena with an astonishing aura. Kid, you're going to lose for sure. The giant-like battle servant directly attacked. With a punch, even the void was distorted. Crackling sounds could be heard in the air. Du Xiaofu once again stumbled and fled in a sorry state. His aura weakened continuously. More and more people gathered around to watch. It was so crowded that not even a drop of water could trickle through. The stakes here were too big, to the point of losing everything. It was too attractive. The battles of the other battle servants seemed very pale and did not have any attraction. In the end, only the battle between Du Xiaofu and the giant-like battle servant was left in the entire arena. And in the end, Du Xiaofu won again despite being injured. Just like that, under the instigation of the little tiger, another beast king came up to bet with everything they had. Du Xiaofu's face was deathly pale, and there were even traces of blood on his body. It was as if he was truly an arrow at the end of its flight. This caused many people to feel a great sense of hope. The pile of treasures was growing larger and larger. And so, the battles continued. Du Xiaofu was in a sorry state. He wandered around the arena, not daring to fight head-on. But in the end, Du Xiaofu could find his opponent's mistakes every time. Just like that, he won 18 rounds in a row miraculously. Everyone was stunned and secretly gasped. 18 rounds. There were already a bunch of Qiankuan bags in front of the little tiger. There were probably close to 100 saint weapons, several half-saint medicines, precious medicines, spirit medicines, magic weapons, cultivation methods, martial skills, and so on. There were already too many to count. If all these treasures were poured out of the Qiankuan bags, it would probably be enough to pile up into a small mountain. This is going to be interesting. There's a battle servant who is very extraordinary. He won many rounds in a row and won close to 100 saint weapons. That battle servant is very special. He won more than 10 rounds in a row and always won in the end. In the entire city, this news had quietly spread and attracted many people. Many people were rushing over, all wanting to see the battle servant who won more than 10 rounds in a row. Is there anyone else who wants to continue? As long as you can win, everything is yours. The little tiger shouted loudly. The multicolored light in front of it fluctuated, and the Qiankuan pouches piled up. Is that battle servant faking it? Some demonic beast experts secretly turned their gazes, wondering if the battle servant had intentionally concealed his strength to trick them. It doesn't seem like it. I've already probed it. That battle servant is at the domain realm. A demonic beast expert solemnly swore that he had the means to spy on everything. That battle servant's aura couldn't escape his detection. Humph, I don't believe it. Some of the demonic beast kings could no longer hold themselves back. The pile of treasures before them was a huge temptation to everyone present. But in the end, the battle servant of the demonic beast king continued to be defeated. Bang! 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 After that, more demonic beast kings continued to place their bets. They wanted to use a small bet to win a big one. The other party was continuously draining their energy, and their chances of winning were too high. However, after another 20 matches, the number of Qiankuan pouches in front of the little tiger increased, and the number of treasures increased as well. However, there was still no battle servant who could win. 38 consecutive victories. What the hell is going on? The place was now filled with a sea of people. All the living beings in the city had been attracted to this place. Originally, such a bet wouldn't have attracted the attention of the entire city. However, with 38 consecutive matches added together, the pile of Qiankuan pouches was enough to tempt even a Saint Beast expert. A battle servant who had won 38 consecutive matches was unrivaled. This was enough to shock the entire city. You're faking it well. Indeed, I have to say that even I almost believed you. Suddenly, such a voice was heard. It wasn't loud, but it reverberated in all directions. It had imperceptibly covered all the other noises in the place, and it clearly fell into everyone's ears. Numerous gazes immediately turned towards the source of the voice. Many figures walked out from there, and the crowd automatically parted to let them pass. The person in the lead was a handsome young man with a nose like an eagle's hook. His facial features were distinct, and he wore a tight-fitting long robe with a bronze cloak draped over his shoulders. He appeared tall and slender. Many monster kings followed behind the young man, and there were also piles of battle servants. An invisible wave of aura permeated the air, causing the atmosphere in the entire square to suddenly become oppressive. It was as if a huge rock had suddenly pressed down on one's chest. It's Lord Zhanlan. When everyone saw the cloaked young man, their expressions immediately changed. Some monster kings lowered their heads and saluted. Zhanlan. In the square, Du Xiaofu's gaze moved without leaving a trace. From the information he had gathered along the way, Zhanlan was from the Gulan Heavenly Condor clan. He was ranked 9th among the younger generation of the Beast Alliance. Is Lord Zhanlan going to let his battle servant take action? It seems that the mysterious battle servant in the square is strange. Lord Zhanlan saw through it. Everyone was secretly discussing. At this time, Lord Zhanlan's arrival undoubtedly caused the crowd to be even more excited and expectant. Little Tiger looked at Zhanlan, but there wasn't much change in his expression. He raised his eyebrows and looked straight at Zhanlan. You want to bet too? You're quite brave. Zhanlan looked at Little Tiger and smiled faintly. At the same time, he looked at Qing Wan, Xiao Qing, Dai Xingyu and Ouyang Xuan. On the other hand, the middle-aged battle servant from the Baifeng Divine Bird clan turned pale when he saw Zhanlan. They didn't know how to end the day. These lords were too good at causing trouble. If they knew this would happen, they wouldn't have brought them down the mountain. Don't talk about whether it's useful or not. If you want to bet, then place your bet. If you can't, then leave. Xiaohu shot a glance at Zhanlan. His deep, dark eyes did not seem to mind at all. Tian Tian, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Mo Tianxiao and Dugu Fenshen were all together. Even if Zhanlan's aura was above his, he couldn't pressure Little Tiger at all. Presumptuous. Behind Zhanlan, a few battle servants shouted and their auras surged out. It's not your turn to be arrogant. If you have the ability, then go up and fight with my battle servant. Little Tiger also shouted. The sound waves rolled up the space. It was as if a tiger's roar was deafening. The sound waves swept over and made people's eardrums hurt. Do you know who I am? Hearing little Tiger's words, it was the first time someone looked down on him. Jean Lan's face gradually darkened. I'm not interested. If your battle servant can defeat my battle servant, then I might be interested to know who you are. If you don't dare, then don't block others. Little Tiger said. Haha, that's right. If you have the ability, then bet. Otherwise, don't block others. The laughter was long and drawn out. Another person came forward with great momentum. The crowd was in an uproar and the onlookers automatically made way. The crowd looked and saw another young man walk out from the crowd. This young man wasn't tall. He was slightly fat and had a slightly hunched back. However, his eyes were vast and deep like black holes. The young man's body exuded a faint icy aura. With his arrival, the temperature of the entire field seemed to have dropped a lot. Behind this young man were the monster kings and battle servants. They wouldn't be any weaker than Jean Lan. Xian Tu, what's the meaning of this? When Jean Lan saw this hunchbacked young man, his expression didn't look too good. He already said that if you don't dare or can't afford to bet, then make way. Other people don't have the obligation to know who you are. Don't think that the entire Beast Alliance must know who you are. If you have the ability to take the position of commander, then the entire Beast Alliance will know who you, Jean Lan, are. Unfortunately, the hunchbacked young man looked at Jean Lan with a half-smile. There was no fear in his eyes. He paused for a moment and then said faintly, you, Jean Lan, don't seem to have the ability to fight for the position of commander. Xian Tu, you want to fight ahead of time. Jean Lan's expression darkened completely. His eyes glowed brightly and his aura surged. Jean Lan, I think Xian Tu is right this time. If you want to bet, then do it. If you don't dare, then make way. Don't take up the space. A rugged young man swept down from the crowd and landed on the ground. His aura was like that of a lion. He glanced around and the corners of his mouth curled into a tyrannical smirk. In the crowd, many figures flew over and landed beside the boorish young man. Their auras were vast and powerful. Lord Xiao Gu, Lord Xian Tu. Heavens, I didn't expect Xian Tu and Xiao Gu to come. The entire square was in an uproar. Many people trembled inwardly. Xian Tu, Xiao Gu. Du Xiaofu stood on the square and looked indifferently at Xian Tu and Xiao Gu. Xian Tu was the leader of the Black Ice Tortoise race and ranked 8th among the younger generation of the Beast Alliance. Xiao Gu was the leader of the Howling Lion race and ranked 7th among the younger generation of the Beast Alliance. Du Xiaofu took another look at Xiao Gu. It was said that during this period of time, Xiao Gu had been asking around about him, wanting to subdue him as a battle servant. How lively! As more people came, the crowd automatically parted to make a path for them. A group of people walked over unhurriedly. This time, Du Xiaofu, Ouyang Shuang, Little Tiger and the others were very familiar with them. They raised their brows inwardly. At the front was a slender, handsome young man with a pair of dark brown eyes that shone with a charming luster. Who else could it be but Qing Long of the 8 Desolation demonic dragon race? Behind Qing Long were several young men and women with extraordinary auras, as well as no less than 30 battle servants. They all had extraordinary auras. The arrival of Qing Long and the others surprised Xiao Gu, Xian Tu and Jean Lan. But Qing Long's gaze fell on Du Xiaofu. His eyes were a little complicated, but he didn't say anything. Du Xiaofu also glanced at Qing Long. He had seen Qing Long in front of the ancient ruins. He had also come to the Baifeng divine bird race. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's gaze looked behind the crowd. In the distance, on top of a towering ancient pavilion, several figures quietly appeared. The beautiful figure in the lead had a graceful figure with a head full of fiery red hair that cascaded down her shoulders to her slender waist. She was dressed in tight clothes and her lower body was curvy. Her eyes were pitch black and lively. It was Xiao Yao. Chapter 2292. Qin Long, Xiao Gu, Xian Tu, Zhan Lan, these supremes are all here. Oh my god, this is going to be interesting. Are they going to let their battle servants fight? When these supreme martial artists, who were famous in the entire Beast Alliance, appeared, the entire square was in an uproar. These supreme prodigies would only appear during the Beast Alliance conference. But they actually appeared here today. How could they not be shocked and excited? Everyone present knew very well that the battle servants before every Beast Alliance meeting were actually the battle servants of these supreme prodigies. Especially on the day before the Beast Alliance meeting, the Supreme's battle servants would appear. There would be intense battles, and the stakes would be high. To a certain extent, this was a secret confrontation between these supreme geniuses. Whichever battle servant emerged victorious in the end would be able to make a name for himself. But now, these supremes had appeared for this mysterious battle servant before the Beast Alliance meeting. How could they not be shocked and excited? Xian Tu and Xiao Gu also secretly looked at Qin Long. They didn't expect this guy to come too. Who else wants to bet? It's going to be night soon. There's no time. Little Tiger's gaze swept across the supreme being geniuses one after another. He was still fearless as he shouted loudly. The sunset glow covered the sky. The sun was about to set. After these dozens of battles, the sky was about to turn dark. You're purposely hiding your strength. Then I'll fulfill your wish. A stalk of sacred medicine and everything in front of you. Zhan Lan said. Xiao Gu, Xian Tu, and Qin Long were all here. He couldn't back down. Besides, Zhan Lan had come here intentionally. It was said that there were more than 100 saint weapons in this Qiankuan bag, many half-step sacred medicines, and countless other treasures. Even a Saint Beast Realm expert couldn't resist such temptation. Naturally, he was very interested. But Zhan Lan didn't expect Qin Long, Xian Tu, and Xiao Gu to come. Obviously, Xiao Gu, Xian Tu, and the others also came with this idea. He couldn't let them take advantage of him. You want to bet all the treasures in front of me with a stalk of sacred medicine? At least 2 stalks of sacred medicine. If not, go home and take them. Little Tiger didn't hold back. You, Zhan Lan gritted his teeth. If this pile of treasures was really as rumored, then there were several half-saint medicines, over 100 saint tools, and many other treasures. 1 saint medicine was indeed a little less, but it was only a little less. If it was a saint medicine of a higher grade, it would definitely be enough. Even if it was just an ordinary saint medicine, it wouldn't be to the extent of 2 saint medicines. This guy actually dared to make such an exorbitant demand. Good, good, good. Zhan Lan's expression was gloomy. He stared at the little tiger and said, "Good," 3 times. His voice seemed to come out from the gaps of his teeth as he said in a low voice, "I will fulfill your wish. 2 stalks of sacred medicine. But if you lose, all of your battle servants will also belong to me." When Zhan Lan finished speaking, he took out 2 simple brocade boxes from his Qiankuan bag and opened them. Boom! The instant the brocade box was opened, 2 rays of light overflowed into the sky. The mysterious runes of the talisman covered the sky and covered the sunset glow, making it seem as if the sun was shining in the sky. 2 rich fragrances accompanied by monstrous energy swept out. Buzz! Heaven and earth trembled, and the sound of wind and thunder could be heard. It was like the sound of heaven. Heaven and earth changed, and energy overflowed into the sky. The entire city shook, and countless gazes looked over from afar. An obscure aura also immediately and quietly descended. Saint Medicine, 2 types of Saint Medicine. Oh my god, this is the first time I've seen Saint Medicine. If I can get a stalk of Saint Medicine, it will be enough for me to improve immediately. When the 2 brocade boxes were opened, 2 waves of energy surged into the sky, causing heaven and earth to change. The atmosphere in the entire square also reached its boiling point. The sound waves gathered and uncontrollably rose into the sky, shaking the entire city. At this moment it was as if the curtains of the Beast Alliance meeting had been lifted. Sky Sun Scarlet Heart Fruit, Purple Gold Blood Lingji Mushroom. When such saint medicine appeared, Qing Long, Xiao Gu, and Xian Tu's expressions changed. Zhan Lan actually had 2 stalks of saint medicine on him. Looking at the Sky Sun Scarlet Heart Fruit and Purple Gold Blood Lingji Mushroom in the brocade box in Zhan Lan's hand, the little tiger's pitch-black eyes began to shine. With a smile on his face, he said, "Deal. As long as your battle servants win, all of them are yours." "Great." Zhan Lan sneered. He closed the brocade box and threw it on top of the Qianquan bags piled up not far from the little tiger. He could feel that the battle servant in the square was not weak. He had been deliberately hiding his strength and had cheated many people of their treasures. Moreover, the 2 female battle servants beside the black-robed young man seemed to be not simple either. Therefore, Zhan Lan wanted to win against the 3 battle servants as well. "Go." Raising his hand and waving it behind him, Zhan Lan signaled one of the battle servants behind him to attack. Zhan Lan knew that the battle servant in the square had been hiding his strength, but he did not believe that the battle servant in the square could defeat his battle servant. "Yes, master." A battle servant walked out from behind Zhan Lan. He looked to be in his 30s and had a powerful aura. His eyes were bright. Boom! When the battle servant stepped onto the square, a powerful aura swept out. "Kid, don't hide anymore. Show me your full strength. Otherwise, you won't even be able to take one move." The battle servant's voice was low and there was a sense of superiority in it. As Zhan Lan's most valued battle servant, he had a special status in the Gulan Heavenly Condor clan. This battle servant was not simple. He could tell that Du Xiaofu had been deliberately hiding his true strength. Du Xiaofu remained unmoved when facing the combat servant, and his gaze was calm. However, a strand of surging aura within his body was like an awakened ferocious beast, and it gradually effused out. As his aura effused out, a strand of formidable profound energy silently surged out, shot into the sky, and shook the heavens and the earth. Boom! The void trembled and the aura surged. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's aura had clearly reached the domain realm. His face was no longer pale and had regained its color. His aura was no longer weak and he stood like a powerful ferocious beast. This battle servant has really been hiding his strength. He's at the domain realm. Bastard, shameless, this guy lied to us. When Du Xiaofu released the aura of the domain realm, everyone was dumbfounded. Those demonic beast kings who had lost everything vomited blood and cursed loudly. That master and servant had been tricking them all this time, pretending to be an arrow at the end of its flight. They had been baiting them step by step. Domain realm, this is your true strength. Unfortunately, there's a huge gap between the same level of domain realm. The expression of the battle servant did not change in the face of the domain stage aura that Du Xiaofu had released at this moment. With a cold laugh, a surging aura that was not the slightest bit inferior to the former erupted like a volcano, accompanied by the rumbling sound of wind and thunder as it whizzed out. Everyone could feel that this aura was even more powerful than the former. When this aura filled the square and thunder rumbled, a smile appeared on Zhan Lan's face. If Zhan Lan wanted to take that pile of treasures, it would be worth a lot. It was comparable to almost 2 Saint Herbs. I'll let you make the first move. Zhan Lan's battle servant stared at Du Xiaofu with an overbearing aura. How noisy! Du Xiaofu spoke as he stomped his foot on the ground. A strand of powerful profound energy instantly erupted with him at the center, and his aura surged to the point it caused the hearts of others to tremble. With Du Xiaofu's ability, strength, and the miraculous disguise technique, it was extremely easy for him to conceal his profound energy, causing others to be unable to discern any clues or sense the aura of the golden-winged rocks. However, when Du Xiaofu's aura was released at this moment, those beast kings who'd lost everything felt like crying but had no tears to shed, and they cursed endlessly in their hearts. If they knew this battle servant was so strong, they wouldn't have bet on it. Swish! Du Xiaofu made a move. He formed seals with his hands, and then he slapped out with his palm. It was swift like a bolt of lightning. Humph! The battle servant didn't dare be careless when he saw this. A yellow-colored storm of profound energy erupted directly and shot into the sky. It even carried the aura of lightning, causing lightning to descend from the sky, and it caused the hearts of others to tremble. Zhang Lan's battle servant is so formidable. The spectators couldn't help but exclaim with shock. Needless to say, Zhang Lan's battle servant was very strong. Boom! Zhang Lan's battle servant made a move. He didn't retreat when facing Du Xiaofu, and instead, he advanced. An energy beam accompanied by fluctuations of lightning suddenly swept out, pierced through the void, and collided with Du Xiaofu's palm. In merely an instant, it arrived before Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's palm changed, and his 5 fingers curled into a claw. The void in front of him suddenly distorted, and he directly avoided the energy beam. At the same time, the claw was already in front of the battle servant. The battle servant's face sank, and his figure swiftly dodged in an inconceivable arc. Then, he smashed a fist towards Du Xiaofu's chest. Thus, the two of them entered an intense confrontation. Bang! Bang! Occasionally, a muffled sound like thunder would ring out. The two of them violently collided, and both of them were forced to retreat. However, everyone could feel that Zhang Lan's battle servant was slightly superior. After exchanging over 100 blows, Du Xiaofu was suppressed, but he wasn't completely suppressed. Zhang Lan's battle servant didn't want to continue fighting. He activated his martial vein, and the void shook. His aura surged. Du Xiaofu made a move. Many beasts activated their martial veins, but they were firmly suppressed. Their aura grew weaker, and their faces paled. They looked more and more miserable. Boom! The middle-aged battle servant made a move. Under the suppression of his martial vein, his fist carried the power of his trump card, and it landed heavily on Du Xiaofu's chest. At that moment, many demonic beast experts could clearly see that the battle servant was probably going to lose this time. However, just as everyone thought that Du Xiaofu was about to lose, another unforeseen event occurred. Just as the fist landed on Du Xiaofu's chest, a treasured saber appeared in Du Xiaofu's hand, and it also pierced through Zhang Lan's battle servant's chest. Swish, blood spurted out. The two of them were on the verge of breaking out. Zhang Lan's battle servant spat out blood, and his chest was dripping with blood. He was directly pierced through, and his face instantly turned ashen. Du Xiaofu staggered back a dozen steps. His face was also pale. He stamped his foot on the ground, and only then did he stabilize his body. Chapter 2293. You tricked me. Zhang Lan's battle servant pointed at Du Xiaofu and said. At this moment, only the battle servant himself knew that the blade didn't take his life. It had avoided his vitals, but a terrifying force had seriously injured him to the point where he couldn't fight anymore. Zhang Lan's battle servant fell to the ground powerlessly. The terrifying force in that blade had even injured his primordial spirit. It was too terrifying. Zhang Lan's battle servant has lost. Sigh, he was too careless. Lord Zhang Lan's battle servant is stronger, but he was too careless. If he had used his vain spirit and weapon, he would have won for sure. That brat is so cunning. He fought with his life on the line, but secretly used his weapon. It's probably a half-step sacred tool. He won against Lord Zhonlan's battle servant. After a short silence, the surroundings were in an uproar. Many people felt that Zhonlan's battle servant was too careless. If he had used his vain spirit and weapon, he definitely wouldn't have been taken advantage of and wouldn't have lost to the battle servant. At this moment, Zhonlan was also in a daze. He saw with his own eyes that the other party's battle servant didn't hide anything this time, but still won. His battle servant was obviously careless. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given the other party a chance. Haha, I said that my battle servant is invincible. Sacred medicine, I'm rich. I'm rich today. Little Tiger laughed loudly. He really couldn't help but laugh. He won another 2 sacred medicines. This was a big deal. If this was outside, he wouldn't have the chance to cheat like this. Only the beast race here had a lot of saint herbs and saint artifacts. Hearing Little Tiger's laughter, Zhonlan's face darkened. Not only did he lose the sacred medicine, but he also lost face. Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu looked at each other and secretly smiled. They originally thought that Du Xiaofu had nothing better to do, but now that they saw that he even won the sacred medicine, they realized that this guy and Little Tiger were singing the same tune. This was simply a robbery. It was even safer and faster than robbing. Is there anyone else who wants to bet? This is the last chance. Is there anyone else who dares to go up? Little Tiger shouted loudly, hoping to win some more sacred herbs and sacred artifacts. You're not exchanging your battle servant? Xian Tu asked Little Tiger, his eyes flashing. Of course. My battle servant is invincible. Of course I'm not exchanging it, Little Tiger vowed. I only have 1 sacred medicine. I will bet. Your celestial sun scarlet fruit. However, my sacred medicine is heaven's sun scarlet is heaven's sun's, is? Xian Tu looked at Little Tiger, as if Xian Tu seemed, Tu's no. Xian's God's God. Xian. You has Xian God. Hearing Little Tiger's words, Xian Tu's expression darkened. He originally wanted to take advantage of Little Tiger, but now it seemed that the other party wasn't stupid. Little Tiger paused and looked at Xian Tuesday. How about this? It's getting dark. Let's make the bet a bit bigger. You take out all your Qinkuan bags. I don't know how many there are in them, but if you win, everything in front of me will belong to you, including the battle servant. If you lose, everything in your Qinkuan bag will belong to me. Little Tiger stared at Xian Tu, afraid that Xian Tu would secretly take something out of his Qinkuan bag. This. Xian Tu hesitated. He thought that the other party didn't want to bet anymore. He didn't expect that the other party wanted to raise the stakes. There were many treasures in his Qinkuan bags. Humph, so you're scared. The other party is pretty much exhausted. You don't dare. Zhonlan said, looking at Xian Tuesday. He wanted to regain some face. Does your heart ache from losing? I'll win it back for you. Xian Tu rolled his eyes at Zhonlan. Looking at Little Tiger, he seemed to have made up his mind. He took out several Qinkuan bags and tossed them onto the pile of Qinkuan bags. Then it's a deal. Lord Xian Tu also wants to bet. Lord Xian Tu had also placed a bet. Could that mysterious battle servant still win? Okay, it's a deal. Little Tiger nodded, smiling from the bottom of his heart. Boom! A tall and straight silhouette flew out, floating in the air like duckweed in the water. Then, he landed on the square, and an incomparably powerful aura swept out. This was a middle-aged man. His appearance was unremarkable and his figure wasn't tall, but the powerful aura he exuded made it so that no one dared to underestimate him. There was no doubt that Xian Tu's battle servant was no weaker than Zhonlan's battle servant. It was no wonder Xian Tu dared to place such a large bet. Boom! Xian Tu's battle servant stepped onto the stage. Without a word, he leapt forward, his peak domain realm aura completely unreserved as he lunged at Du Xiaofu. As he leapt forward, he activated his martial vein and covered his entire body in talisman inscriptions. He punched out. The punch of this combat servant seemed to have merged with his martial vein. It shone brilliantly and dazzlingly, causing the surrounding space to distort as rays of light spread out. They were like flashing lightning, emitting crackling sounds as they pierced through space. At this moment, the battle servant's aura was extraordinary. His body was wrapped in light, his aura surging like a flood. His punch was like a thunderclap. The battle servant used his full strength, even fusing with his martial vein. He didn't show the slightest bit of carelessness. He wanted to kill Du Xiaofu and destroy him, not defeat him. He didn't want his master Xian Tu to accept this battle servant. A defeated opponent wasn't worthy of being his companion. Peak Domain Realm. This is his true strength. He's definitely going to win. Lord Xian Tu's battle servant is too strong. That guy's definitely going to lose. The crowd paled. It turned out that Xian Tu's battle servant was this strong. Peak Domain Realm, even many of the monster kings present would find it difficult to deal with him. Xian Tu was ranked 8th among the younger generation of the Beast Alliance, and his battle servant was also this strong. Zhanlan also paled. It was clear that Xian Tu's battle servant was much stronger than his. If Xian Tu won, not only would he gain great benefits, his reputation would also soar. Swish! Du Xiaofu attacked. His hands formed a seal, his eyes flashing with light. A vast wave of origin spirit energy swept out, intimidating the divine soul. 9-star Lord Domain Realm Peak Talisman Master, Dual Cultivation Battle Servant. Xian Tu's face paled as he cried out in alarm. But it was too late. An inconceivable change took place. Xian Tu's battle servant's terrifying attack suddenly stopped, and for some reason, his eyes went blank. At practically the exact same moment, everyone clearly noticed that Du Xiaofu's figure had appeared before the combat servant, and then the profound energy within his body surged explosively as his fist smashed down forcefully onto the combat servant's forehead. Boom! There was a dull thud as the battle servant's body exploded into a bloody mist, starting from the head. The battle servant had used a killing move from the get-go, merciless and vicious. Du Xiaofu hadn't wanted to take the battle servant's life. He had only wanted to defeat them one by one. But now, he showed no mercy to Xian Tu's battle servant, killing him at just the right moment. The entire place was silent. Everyone was dumbfounded. Huff, after a long while, the sound of cold air being sucked in could be heard. No one had expected this result. They had thought that Xian Tu's battle servant's victory was assured, but he had been instantly killed in the final blow. A talisman master, a nascent spirit attack. That battle servant hid his strength well. A peak 9-star Lord Domain Realm Talisman Master. That's the battle servant's true strength. Some of the beast race experts saw through the clues. The battle servant was a peak 9-star Lord Domain Realm Talisman Master. His nascent spirit attack had caught Xian Tu's battle servant off guard and instantly killed him. Qing Long watched quietly from the side. He was not too surprised. He had known that the battle servant was a dual cultivator. Qing Long wasn't surprised that Xian Tu's battle servant had been defeated, but he was still shocked. Xiao Gu, on the other hand, was rather surprised. Thank you for letting me win. The little tiger laughed without restraint. Xian Tu's cosmos pouches probably contained a lot of good stuff. At the very least, there should be some saint-level herbs. Xian Tu's face was ashen. He had thought that victory was almost certain. His battle servant had used a killing move right off the bat and hadn't been careless in the slightest, but he had still been tricked. The opponent's battle servant was a talisman master. Anyone would be affected by a nascent spirit attack if they were caught off guard. Xian too had bet everything he had. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but want to vomit blood. His heart was pounding. I don't think anyone will dare to continue. As the little tiger spoke, he was about to put away all the cosmos pouches and saint-level herbs. Hold on. Does your battle servant dare to continue? These words came out of Xiao Gu's mouth. He looked at Xiao Hu with a faint fighting spirit surging in his eyes. The little tiger hesitated, as if he didn't want to continue. There are 2 saint herbs, 6 saint artifacts, and quite a few half-saint herbs in the cosmos sack. There are also quite a few priceless ancient blood essences. If you fight again and win, everything in my cosmos sack will belong to you. But if you lose, I only want half of the things in front of you, and that battle servant as well. Xiao Gu's eyes lit up. He took out a lot of cosmos pouches and looked at the little tiger. This bet isn't ordinary. Everyone was shocked. Xiao Gu's bet wasn't ordinary. 2 saint-level herbs, 6 saint-level weapons, half saint-level herbs, and ancient essence blood. Any one of them was a great treasure. Hearing this, the little tiger looked at the cosmos pouch in Xiao Gu's hand. His eyes lit up and he clenched his teeth. He nodded and said to Xiao Gu, "Deal." "Good." Xiao Gu smiled and threw the cosmos pouch over. He looked back and said, "Go, I want that battle servant alive." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.